I realized that I order Uber Eats like at least twice a week. And then with Uber One, and I'm not a representative of Uber One, but I'm gonna try to sell it here for anyone who orders Uber often.
Mm-hmm.
If you order food on Uber Eats more than a couple times a week, Uber One saves you like delivery fee and like a bunch of service fees and stuff. So like on each order, you're at least saving like $2 to $3. So if you order like let's say 3 times a week, which is like pretty average for me, like once a week I'll order with my coworkers on the weekend, and once a week maybe by myself, and then maybe with one of you guys. I don't know, whatever. Let's say 3 times a week. That's like you're saving like I don't know, 3 times 2, 3 times 3, like $9. And Uber One is like about like $9.99 a month or whatever. So if you order quite a bit, it's just like it's helping, you know.
True.
I don't know if the math necessarily works out. Maybe you're like not saving as much as you're paying, but it's like you're pretty much breaking even.
Yeah, we'll clip that, and then if Uber wants to use
Sponsor?
that as an ad,
Sure.
we'll charge.
I don't think I was eloquent enough for that.
You want to try it again?
No. I want to try again.
Let me just move my bird.
I was gonna say that bird's gonna have to go because it was freaking out just now.
Honestly, just let it free.
Yeah.
Just let it fly. Be free. Well, I was gonna dive into something real quick, but now I gotta wait for Patrick. Hello, audience. We're just
You're not
stretching our
seeing
legs.
Wolf of Wall Street where he's like,
Yeah. We're stretching our legs here, getting into the cold open. If you're wondering why Mark and I sound nasally, it's because we are. And now Patrick's back. There we go. Gentlemen.
Dude, speaking of nasally, real quick, by the way, I saw someone we went to high school with at the gym, and they're like, "Oh man, we like your podcast," and I was like, "Oh, thank you," and he was like, "Yeah, I like a lot of your takes, and I like who's that guy who sounds nasally." I like his takes
Wait,
as well.
who was it?
We can blur it out, but I think it was who's that super tall, like 7-foot guy?
Samir?
Yeah,
Oh, what the heck?
Oh.
the guy who bought like 7 PS5s and like
Scalped some
more
of
than-
them. Yeah. Sure,
we, can
that's
cut, we can
Samir.
cut that out.
Anyway,
Anyway,
we'll leave it in.
Matty,
It's
go ahead.
okay. It's just Samir.
Yo. Oh, wait, were you going to
No,
say
but I don't
something?
want to. If he watches, I don't want to be like, I don't know, whatever. I wasn't insulting him or anything.
No, you already said it. You're good.
Thank
Thank you, Samir.
Thank you, Samir, for watching the show
Appreciate it.
and for appreciating the nasally guy's
Is
take.
this super pretentious to go like this? Like, thank you, brother.
Oh.
Uh,
So, wait, were you going to
I was just gonna say, how about that food yesterday, huh?
Oh, well,
my
I was going to
goodness.
say something a little bit to the left of that.
Okay.
Peaches really made me upset yesterday.
Peach?
Peaches.
What is that?
Oh, peaches made you upset.
Peaches
This was
made
your
me
code
upset.
word.
Yeah.
What do
Okay.
you
My
mean?
code word.
For what?
My code.
Your code word for what? Oh, I didn't know that. Since when?
I said it right before we started.
Oh, I see.
But,
You know, we went to
let's just stop.
a restaurant called Barbarian. Shout out to Barbarians. It's like one of the oldest restaurants in Toronto. Beloved by many. It's very popular.
1959, right?
1959. That's right.
Mhm.
I'll tell you what. As soon as I was there, I couldn't stop raving about the whole situation. The wait everyone there was fantastic.
Yeah.
The service was incredible.
Yeah.
Like anytime my water was out, they'd just fill it and they'd be really sweet and they were
Yeah.
just really kind. The actual like, I don't know, like the what do you call it? The ambiance of the place. It was just a really cool looking place,
Mm-hmm.
and all the food was incredible. The dessert was fantastic.
Yeah.
I just had it was an amazing experience. Like everything was perfect.
It was all around a good time, and
Yes.
I'd like to say that my highlight was indeed our waiter, Matthew.
Yeah, he was great.
Shout out
He
Matthew.
was
You know what I
awesome.
find interesting about Barbarians? Unless I'm dreaming, the handful of times I've been there, I've definitely for sure never had, but I don't think I've ever even seen
That guy.
a female server.
Mm.
Like it's all dudes.
You're about
Well,
to
those
you're
are the-
about to bring up a lawsuit against them, bro. Why are you doing this?
Well, there was a
I don't think
I did notice a female walking around with shorter hair. She
Yeah,
was-
there was somebody who was like maybe a hostess or something like that, or like somebody
Sure.
kind of running the floor, maybe walking
Yeah.
around, who I was new to me. But
If this gets out and we post this on social media, someone's gonna bring a lawsuit against them.
why
for
would this
misogyny.
be the
a
clip?
lawsuit.
First of all, why would
Sexism.
this be the clip you choose? Second of all, I wonder what the reason is. If there's like it's a steakhouse, it's
Misogyny.
old school. They want like that kind of like
Sexism.
vibe.
I think that
I don't think it's any of those.
I think
things.
if I was a betting man, I would just bet that that's just the way the dice the cookies crumbled
Cookie crumb.
or the dice. What do they say?
I do like the
Fancy dressing.
the fancy dressing. Not that women can't. Wait, are we still on the women point?
I'm just saying
I
that
want to move away.
the only reason
I'd
as
like
I
to
now
as well.
sit here thinking about it, the only thing I can think of is I'm pretty sure, I could be making this up, pulling it out of my ass, but I'm pretty sure there's some stat where it's like male servers tend to work in more like high-end restaurants compared to like female servers. I don't know
Damn
why
right we do.
or like what. I don't know why or what any like reasoning behind it would be, but like I could have sworn that was like a thing. But
Bro, imagine you're a server
Yeah.
at Barbarians. How much did he just make off our table?
cleaning up
Just
in
off of our
tips.
table, how much did he make?
Because he makes 100% of the tip, you think? Or does
Well,
it
that's the
kinda-
thing, because
or
it
is
wasn't a
split up-
cash
is it
tip,
split
is
up
it?
against people.
Yeah.
But even if it's split up, think about that. At like when we go to the bar,
Yeah.
if we have like a $20, $30 bill, what's like a 15% tip on that?
$5 ish, I think.
So if you're making like, if like the four of us went, if you're making like $20 a table, and you're doing, I don't know, 10 tables like a night, maybe. I don't know if I know fucking nothing about wait staff. I don't know if like 10 tables is
Sure.
underballing it or overselling
It's
it.
Yeah, who
definitely
knows?
underselling it.
Who cares?
But let's say it's 10 in a span of time, for example, even if it's not the whole night. That's
In a span of time?
$200, you know,
Okay.
at the bar. Whereas if you're doing like those same 10 tables
Yeah.
with like 4 people each at fucking Barbarians,
Yeah.
and if people are, you know, having bills like we had,
I don't think any group of 4 will have less than a $200 bill. It's always going to be above 200.
Barbarians?
Yeah, Barbarians.
a four person?
A 4-person, yeah.
A 4-person, you're spending at least 500. What are you talking about?
That's what I'm saying. I don't think it's going to be less than 200.
I don't think it's even going to be anywhere near 200. What I'm saying.
Well, if they all did like the rack of lamb, all did 50, and then just there it'll be around like that plus tax
Yeah,
and
but then
tip,
there's-
maybe 250, 260.
Yeah,
You know
minimum.
what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and then
I
apps
think most.
and desserts.
Well, if they
Yeah.
didn't do that, I'm just saying if they got mains.
That's not
You
common.
know what I'm saying?
I feel like the common experience that because if we're talking about how much those servers make,
Yeah.
the common experience is that you're probably getting like tables that spend 400 minimum every time.
Sure.
If you're someone gets a drink, someone gets whatever.
Sure.
So yeah, they're definitely doing good money
They're
there.
doing
If you were getting like $200 across like 10 tables at like a bar, I have to imagine the guys at fucking Barbarians,
$2
if they're doing
grand.
10 tables, are doing like at least $1,000 a night.
Sure.
Or
just
like
on tips.
a grand's maybe a little much, but maybe like $600, $700, $800.
Definitely.
Have you ever seen
and,
those
like,
videos?
tips.
Have you ever seen those videos of strippers recounting their week or like documenting their week?
They
Of
make
how
a
much
lot
they
of money.
make?
But I would assume they clean up too.
There was this one
mean, they
that
for
popped
sure
up on my
clean up.
feed from Miami, and she ended up she was recounting her year,
Mm.
and she made like I think 500K that year
Oh,
that she
Lord.
was like recounting,
Sounds about
and she
right.
took 2 months off.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
Yeah, strippers definitely. I mean, they're fucking people like guys and girls who put themselves through fucking college and university and shit, like
Yeah.
just stripping because they're like, all right, fucking pays
There's
well.
I heard there. I mean, I know people have talked about this, but there was like an Instagram video I saw where it was like some guy asking this girl about like how much money she makes like doing like explicit content online or whatever,
Mm.
and she was saying like 300K like per month, like 300,000 a month.
Yeah, the
It's like-
top.
Because she said she has like 30,000 like paid subscribers and like 40,000 like free subscribers or whatever. But the 30,000 like paid subscribers, like if you're charging like a good amount per thing, like let's say you're charging like $10 per video or whatever, and
Okay.
you get like every one of your guys
But is it
buys
OF?
one. Yeah, I think
Isn't
so.
it per month?
I guess so.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
but
like
yeah.
say $10 per month.
Yeah, so it's probably $9.99 per month, and then like
Mhm.
everybody like 35,000 or 30,000. Yeah,
Yeah.
Crazy.
You said 300,000.
so you're making about 300K a month.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah,
was
the
like
people who-
how much per year is that times 12? 3 times 12 is 30. 3 times 12 is 36. So 3.6
mil.
$3.6 million.
Yeah, the people who are like,
Wow.
I feel like a lot of time with the OnlyFans stuff, it's kind of overstated. Where it's like people
Maybe.
always talk about the like 1% at the top who make like a shitload of money.
I don't think 30,000 people is like it's a good amount of people, but like
but like the
people-
300K a month, that's like,
but if you're charging $10 a month, I don't think that's like way out of range.
I guess, but that's like,
I don't know how
That's
many.
if you have 30,000 people though.
I don't.
It's just- it's a little,
30,000 is
like-
the top percent. I think 30,000 people is like a good amount for sure, but like I don't know. You look at any social media page, Instagram page, like YouTube. I know it might be different, obviously, but like I don't think 30,000 is like one of the top people. I'm sure there's people who have like hundreds of thousands.
it's more like generally speaking, it's a little overblown because some people like make the joke of like, you know, oh, just started OnlyFans
Sure.
and blah blah blah. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, but like odds are you would start it and make like, you know, maybe like $200 a month. Like you just make like, you know, chump change on it kind of thing. Like people act like it's just this like cheat code where it's like, oh, just fucking do it and you're a millionaire. And it's like,
Dude,
well,
I need to actually show you guys that Shane Gillis clip where it's like OnlyFans dad. and it's like
Oh.
they're at the dinner table. We were
Yeah,
started it, but
watched
then we
the
stopped
beginning
it.
of it,
But it's like they're just at the dinner table, and they just hear some like moaning upstairs. And they go upstairs, and the dad's just like filming some content.
yeah.
And he's like, "How do you think we've been able to afford rent? Like, how do you think I get you a PS5? Like, how do you like, you know?" Yeah, that's funny.
But yeah, Barbarians was exquisite.
Amazing.
Net doesn't disappoint. I am glad.
No part of your night. You weren't disappointed by any part of your night.
Well, I wouldn't say that, but I overall had a blast. I'm glad that everybody enjoyed it.
Oh man, I'd like to go. I'd like to go
um,
once a year.
I want to
Mhm.
try the cheese for 2. Burrata
Burrata.
for 2.
Burrata, yeah.
Yeah. Totally unrelated, but because I had this thought and then was going to bring it back to Barbarians, now it's back. You think, because Liam said he was, I didn't know Liam was doing like work as a bouncer.
Yeah, I didn't know that
That-
either.
Sounds about right, given his physical stature.
Mhm.
Do you, like, do bouncers get tipped at all?
I don't think so.
don't think so.
I think they just get paid straight up by the company.
Because that was a thought. I meant to ask Liam that yesterday because I was wondering, like, we have to, at some point, we have to have Liam on because I'm sure he's got
Maybe
some
if the
bouncers don't serve any
funny
money, though.
stories.
Bouncers are like
no, but like
but
I
if they, like,
imagine like
split at the
working
end of the
like
club,
because I
right?
think in my head of like like even at like a fancy hotel like
Sure.
the doorman, like people tip the doorman
yeah, but
kind of
he's
thing.
doing a service for people. I feel like bouncers they're I feel like they don't get tipped directly because they're kind of like throwing people out, or they're more of like they get in the way and people aren't
It's-
necessarily probably paying them directly. But
it's a service
may-
for the establishment, right?
yes,
Yeah.
so maybe they like split the tip like Patrick was saying with like the rest of their crew. But I don't think anyone ever directly tips. I doubt it.
Yeah, I guess probably not that much. To me, it's just something. Maybe it's more a me thing where I was thinking about it, where it's like I could see myself like,
Bouncing?
no, not definitely not fucking bouncing,
tipping
but
a
just like
bouncer?
slipping the bouncer like a 5 or something.
Why? But you're barely
it's-
gonna see him. Like you might just see him at the door, just kind of like letting people in, or
Based on
Maybe I'm like
Liam's
the way
stories,
out. I don't know.
Based on Liam's stories the other day, they get tipped.
Well,
just in a different way.
Sure, they get tipped in a. They give tip if you know
They
what I
get-
mean.
Oh wow, okay.
Oh wow.
Why'd you have to do that?
I don't know.
explicit?
dude, I want to go. I want to go once a year. And
Very
I'd also like to not spend $300 every time.
Yeah.
But because like honestly, I was thinking about it, and everything was incredible. But that lobster bisque
That lobster bisque.
To die for,
Woo! That lobster
was
bisque.
incredible.
What is a bisque?
I don't know what
Can
it
you search
is.
the definition of a bisque, please?
What is
I
a
need to
bisque?
know.
I only wish we would have saved the garlic bread to dip it in there. 'cause I
Wow,
think that would have been
if
unbelievable.
we saved the garlic, oh, if only we had the prudence, bro.
I know.
If only we had the foresight for that.
Dude. Ice cream outside.
Fucking ice cream
Should we
truck.
like?
I want to
Should
pause
we
and
pause
run.
the
I wanna
show,
go and
guys,
run.
and
It's
get some?
coming right.
Can
now.
we actually run to get it?
Should we get?
Can we get it?
Can. I don't have any cash on me, but we can.
will
They don't pay. They don't take debit.
Yeah,
Do they? I
they'll take
don't know.
card. Yeah. Okay, we're going to get ice cream.
Oh Jesus. So a bisque appears to be, thanks to Google, a smooth, creamy, highly seasoned soup of French origin, classically based on a strained broth of crustaceans. It can be made from lobster, whatever the fuck a langoustine is, crab, shrimp, or crayfish.
I feel like I feel like people can't say that anymore.
The French bisque
Langoustine?
is one of the most popular seafood soups in the world. I don't know what this is, but I also need to know now.
Can you just afterwards just search up? Oh.
Oh, these fucking things.
Oh.
These little fucking.
Can you go back to lobster bisque and just go to images?
Motherfuckers.
I'm almost there.
He's almost
I
there.
just want to go to images.
What do you mean you're almost there?
He's getting
Oh,
close.
look how good that looks. I want
Bro.
I want lobster bisque right now.
I want lobster bisque, but I want like.
I want
with, like,
lobster
big pieces
hunks
of
in
them.
it. Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
only thing about the Barbarians one where it's
Those
like
kind of-
delicious, but there's like itty bitty pieces of lobster
they're
like
kinda-
sprinkled in it.
They're a bit skimp. They're like what's it skimping out? What's the word?
Maybe.
It works, I think.
Yeah, they're a little bit. They withheld the meat.
Or
Little
chintzy,
tiny
if you
pieces of
will.
meat.
Yeah.
And I wish there was. I wish there was more soup. I
Sure.
wish the actual broth was more. I felt like I was done really quick, and I'm sure that's why you were saying your parents got another one.
Well, it seems like they're smart with it because he was saying they make it out of because they have the lobster cocktail.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then out of the shells they make the bisque. So I'm assuming all the
Dude.
meat goes to the lobster.
They gotta have that.
Maybe.
They gotta have that shit permanent on the menu because that would every day they get a shit ton of those.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And next time we go, if we go in another year, I want to try like either the fish or the chicken.
I want to try the fish. I want to try the fish of the day.
Yeah.
That's what I want to
Which
try.
was swordfish yesterday, which
Yeah.
is insane.
Also, Malcolm tried the chicken that Bella ordered, and he said it was great. He said it was delicious. I tried only a little bit, so like it was good, but he said the sauce was really good. It was like this brown sauce.
Yeah.
I don't think she liked it very much, to be honest.
Yeah.
But it looked good, and I the bite I had was like pretty. It was tender. It wasn't dry. I think chicken's easy to like mess up because it gets dry really easy. I guess. Like same with turkey, but it was good.
So, anyways, Barbarians was delicious. I'm glad everybody enjoyed, and I guess we'll just get on with the show.
One last thing.
Yeah.
We have one last thing.
Had
ladies and
beignets for the
gentlemen.
first time.
Mm.
Delicious. They were
Mm.
literally just like this, like almost like a donut. It's like brown sugar, cinnamon, whatever. And then I don't know if you guys know, like when you, I don't know, because I think you guys all tried it or tried a bite out of it, right?
Yeah, I tried it.
Like when you take a bite out of it, it's like whole chunks of apple in
Yeah.
there.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a tunnel of apple. Every bite you take has like an apple in there.
It's almost like an onion ring, but for apples.
Exactly. You know when you you bite an onion ring and the whole onion comes out. It's like if you just like you could just strip the skin and it's just like apple all around.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like kind of like I think they use like a Granny Smith or something. It was like bitter, a little bit bitter.
Mm-hmm.
But then the brown sugar helped balance that out, and then the vanilla ice cream, perfect. And they make it in house, and it was incredible.
Mm-hmm.
And the chocolate house, I tried the mousse that you had in the chocolate house, and that was delicious as well.
Yeah, it was good.
And also just visually beautiful. It was really
yeah, it
cool.
looked really cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
They had the
What did
dark
you get for
chocolate.
dessert?
Just some lemon sorbet.
How was that?
So good.
It's good.
Delicious.
Pretty good way to end it, honestly. Like end it on a light note.
I wanted something like fresh and like,
Refreshing.
different from everything else because it's
Yeah.
such a like meat heavy meal
Yeah.
that it's like something I didn't
Bro.
want like chocolate or something like decadent
I-
at the end. I just wanted something like
I regret not getting mashed potatoes. I feel like the creamy mashed potatoes would have been really good there. And on a separate note, I mean, I want to hit on something about Barbarians. Do you as well? Or you
I was
want-
just gonna say that I'm about to say this without a hint of hyperbole. I could have downed 3 24-ounce steaks.
You should have just gotten 32.
I should have gone 32.
It's like a
24 ounces is gonna be enough.
It's like a $30 difference, but I'm sure it's like a lot more meat.
Yeah.
But I was gonna say I love the experience, not just at Barbarians, of course, but like the 3-meal kind of like appetizer, main, and then dessert.
Yeah, 3 course.
I feel 3-course meal. I want to do that more often. I know it's like you have to spend a little bit more money, but like it's just a fun experience. You get to like shoot the shit, talk with people. You have your appetizer. You kind of like you share it. You just talk. You hang out, and then the meal comes, and it's like you focus and eat this delicious meal, and you just chill and have dessert.
Yeah.
I just like the flow of the dinner.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's just like a fun night out. I want to do that more often, not just necessarily at a fine dining restaurant, but just like a triple course. You know?
Yeah, I hear that.
Anyway,
And anyway, there you go. Let's get into it. Welcome back to episode 67
2 more.
wow.
of Wildly Adequate, the show about anything, everything, and usually nothing. I, as always, am 1/3 of your hosting crew, Mr. Matty Urso. I am joined by Patrick and Mark. Will Malcolm
Relax, calm down, guys. Thank you so much
Hold
for the
the applause.
reception.
Will Malcolm be joining us late into
Probably
the show
not.
again this week? Probably not, but maybe. Who knows? Time will tell.
I'm kind of warm in here. Are you guys warm?
I'm also, my mic
feeling
stand
good.
is falling apart. Patrick, stall for time.
Did you crack
Start
the
your
window
topic.
already?
I closed it a little because of the ice cream truck, but I'm going to open it now. I didn't know my arm was shitting itself. Patrick, stall for time.
So,
Start your topic.
oh, solve for time or start on topic? Pick one.
Start your topic.
No, I want to solve for time.
Okay.
So,
Why don't you ask me to stall for time?
can I solve for time?
You don't
or-
think I'm capable of doing that?
What are you doing? All right, audience. This is me stalling for time. I'm gonna tell you guys a little story.
Dude, this is the guy you picked.
I'm gonna tell you guys a little story. So, there was a baker who lived on Drury Lane in about the 1950s. He was renowned for his muffins, his scones, danishes. But one day, a couple came into his shop and encountered a very odd smell. It hit them almost with a nauseating feeling, not like a garbage smell, kind of like almost like a feces smell, you could say, if you could imagine that. And so they inquired with the famous baker on Drury Lane about the smell, and he quickly dismissed them almost erratically. So they kind of brushed it off. They were hungry for dessert. They ordered a few of his famous scones. They went on their way. On the way, are you still?
I'm having a fucking stroke right now.
Are you telling the story of Sweeney Todd?
I'm just saying random BS, bro.
Yeah, I was waiting. I thought you were doing a bit, but I was having so much trouble putting that on right now. I don't know. I was like tightening it one way and it wasn't going. And I took it off to like make sure I was doing it the right way. Started doing it that way, and then it was going like loose. I was like, I don't know what's happening here.
I just did a fall asleep bit while Patrick was talking. I just fell asleep.
God,
Is that what you're doing?
Christ, thank you. Anyways,
So,
please
I'm
take us
getting-
away.
I'm getting a haircut.
Mm.
As I told
Wait, but
you.
it's my turn.
It's my
I'm
turn.
not doing my topic yet.
It's my turn.
Dude, I don't know why. To me, like I love one of my favorite bits is when people's glasses are just a little bit off.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just like that. It's kind of like just a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
like not quite
Ever
crazy.
so slightly
Yeah.
wrong.
But because I told the guys that I want to like just buzz my hair, so I have my interview, my haircut booked on Tuesday. The question is how short am I gonna go here?
I think you should keep it the length it is now.
Dude, be real. Why? Okay, be real with me, boys. Because I want to be real with myself here.
Okay.
Maybe this is my topic. Can I just hit my topic first? It's gonna be a short one. I promise, brother.
I was right. Sure.
I'm sorry I didn't interrupt your topic.
That's okay.
But here's the thing.
My turn.
I've lived for many years not being sure of what to do with my hair. Matty has gone through the same experience as me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, elementary school, high school, he was kind of like he wasn't sure what to do with it, and then now he's kind of settled into his own style. I'm not quite settled into my style. I don't know what it is. Last time I got a haircut and I asked you guys about it, and I think Matty said that he likes it a little bit longer than what I got before.
Mm-hmm.
But my problem is that my hair is like thinning. My dad's bald. He was bald by the time he was like 30 something. I'm 24 now, turning 24. And even like if I go out and it's like windy and shit, you could see like and even now you could see my scalp. You can see pieces of my scalp. My hair is thin. So to me, the longer it gets, the more wispy it looks, and it can just kind of like, for some reason the contrast is greater and you can just see my scalp more. When you have it really short, I feel like it appears to be denser in a way. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like high and tight, and you fade it. It just looks more dense on top, in a way. Or maybe you guys disagree with that. Maybe you think I look even more balding when my hair's shorter. You can tell me. I don't know. I won't be offended. But I just don't know what to do with it. And yeah, I've asked my barber before, who you guys know, love Dewey. Shout out to Dewey.
Hello, Dewey.
I've asked him before, and he's not sure if a buzz cut would look good on me or not. But once and for all, I just want to fucking pick a haircut and never change it. What would you guys recommend if you had to recommend one hairstyle for me based on my problem that I'm having? I feel like at some point I'm gonna have to go bald. Not necessarily like zero bald, but like short buzz.
Right.
So like, to me, like I don't want to hold on to it when it's kind of like it doesn't look great and it's kind of like blotch. I don't have like a bald spot or anything. It's just like thinning, you know. So my thing is like, do I just commit to like almost zero? Do I go like how I had it before, where it was like really short but like not quite buzz cut? What do you guys think?
I don't think you need to let it get any longer than it is now, but I do think you would be perfectly fine, like leaving it, kind of thing.
Like with this length?
Yeah, like if you wanted to, I think you could leave it that length and get away with it, no problem, sort of thing.
But when I look in the mirror, I don't like the way it looks like this. I feel like, I don't know why. I just think I think that because of my thin hair and like the density of it, and it's just like I'm balding. I feel like it doesn't look good at this length personally. So that's why I'm like, I don't want it to be this. So I want to change it. Like, what change should I make?
Matt, I think this length is good too. On God.
Yeah, but okay. Well, I mean, I guess that's that. But
I think it's fine this way. I like it this way. If you were gonna buzz it, then like yeah, I would shorten it and clean it up, but I wouldn't like do it to the nub
no
sort of thing.
I think
At
it
least
looks-
not yet.
I think it looks good like that, and I don't like. I guess I understand why you're insistent because you don't think it looks good like that.
Yeah,
But I like, to me that wouldn't be you holding on. That would be you enjoying it while you have it, kind of thing. Like your hair.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
I guess so. I just like I see the trajectory, and I just feel like I want to get ahead of it and just kind of like settle into the style that I'm gonna have for most of my life.
Why can't it
because-
evolve though? Like what you have.
I don't like it. I don't like it like that. If I loved it like this and I was just like, okay, I want to hold it on for as long as possible,
Yeah.
that's a different story. But I don't even like it like this. The longer it gets, the more annoying it is to deal with, and the more like, if I go out and the wind hits me, I look like a baby bird. You know, like it just looks like wispy and just kind of like all over the place, and you can just fucking see my head. So, I don't know. I don't know how to. Maybe like, I don't think anyone really comments generally, but I mean, comment on how you think my hair would look better.
The
in a certain
audience,
way.
let Mark know how to.
Maybe we can
fix the
throw up pictures
situation.
of how because I've buzzed my hair before. You guys have seen it, but that was like 0. That was like totally 0.
Sure, that's what I'm saying. Where I feel like there's an in between state
Can I show
from
you,
like
can I show
where
you guys
you're
a
at
picture?
now.
Can I guys show you guys a picture of what I was thinking of?
Please.
So I mean, I don't know if you guys want to throw if you even want to throw this up or just have it. So there was this length, which is like pretty much like, very short, like a military kind of cut. And then this is like after I buzzed it, like a few weeks after I buzzed it, it was like that short, like very short.
Yeah.
And I think that this just makes my hair look a little bit fuller. I just think makes it look more even, personally.
Yeah, those two pictures you're showing us right now are what I'm talking about. Of
But those
what
are
I
buzz
would
cuts
do
technically,
as like,
but they're not like 0.
yeah, that's what I would do as the like middle ground of where you're at now and like to the nub. That's kind of what I would, personally speaking, think would look good on you and what you should shoot for.
But that's technically
Sort
that's
of
what I had
thing.
like a few weeks ago when I did the episode with you guys. When I had it
This
like
is true.
yeah, that's like I think that's generally what I prefer.
You
but
know
I
what it
just-
is? Part of the challenge too is not only finding a hairstyle, because the problem is if you find a hairstyle you like,
Yeah.
then you have to be like cutting it more often.
That's the problem. I just got to
to
cut 3
get
weeks ago.
there.
Yeah.
So it's almost like you have to sort of find a way where you like it when you get it cut, and then like the point where you leave it to, because it's like in my case, I'm at the point now. Hold on a second, ladies. Where my hair's like longer now, like it's been probably since I don't know, April or some shit. Like it's been a handful of months since I've had a haircut. And it's like I got the fucking lettuce going and it's like longer or whatever. But it's like I like it like this when it's longer like this. And I like when I get the haircut and it is like this, but just no lettuce, like shorter on the top, a little bit more cleaned up. So it's like I kind of found the sweet spot of like right after a haircut, liking the sort of shorter version of this, and then being able to like spend a couple months growing it back to like
Sure.
now where I like it equally kind of thing.
I think
And then I start the beautiful process all over again.
sure. I think the problem for me is that my window feels shorter, and I think that after like 2 weeks, like 2 to 3 weeks after my cut, I want to get another one. So I got my cut on June 7th. What day is it today?
The
22,
23rd?
23, 24.
So it's been about 2.5 weeks, and I already don't like the way it is. I want to go back to the other thing. My issue is that like I could keep doing that for a while, and that could be my maintenance, just going to that one, letting it go a couple weeks and going again. But it's just A, that's expensive, and B, like what I'm thinking now is, do I do what I just did and I've been doing in those pictures, or do I just buzz it? Because that's where I'm
Well,
gonna end up. I think.
The other alternative, yes, would be to sort of like overshoot it
Yeah.
and go like shorter.
Mm,
And then after like, 2-3 weeks to a month,
yeah.
be at the spot that you want to be at
Sure.
for like another couple weeks.
Mm-mm.
And then after that, you maybe wind up where you are now. So you sort of like overcorrect and
Yeah.
then give yourself more runway
Sure.
before you're like at the now point of wanting to go do it again, sort of thing.
Yeah. I don't know how interesting or entertaining this topic is. Probably not very much, but I think that
It's okay,
Having
Mark's
said-
haircut.
having talked about it out loud, I think I'm just gonna go with like not the in between, but like the buzz look, like the picture I showed you,
Mm-hmm.
where it's like I can go with it for like 2 to 3 weeks, just like I did now, and then like get another cut. I think that's normal. I think a lot of people do that. A lot of people get a cut once a week, twice a week, like every other week,
Yeah.
whatever. It's a little pricey, but at the same time, like if that's what I like, that's what I want to do.
You need one of two things out there. You need to either start going out with a young lady who's a hairstylist
Yeah, right.
so that you can get it hopefully for free.
Mm.
Um,
But the problem is I want to get like a fade, and that's typically like a male barber thing. I'm sure some females do it, but like
Yes, that's true.
typically like at a salon it'll be like scissor cuts and stuff. But I want that like barber fade type.
This
thing.
is true. Well, then you're gonna have to start dating a young male barber. Or the other thing is we need AI to hurry up and take everybody's jobs already,
Mm.
so we can just have like a hair cutting robot at your
Ooh.
house that'll just
That'd be
fucking-
scary, huh?
Or he could just cut his hair himself.
Well, that would be.
This is
I'd have to
also true.
learn how to fade it. Honestly, like to me, like I like going to Dewey's and hanging out and chatting with him, and he's really good at what he does. So I just feel like it's like a nice relaxing experience. And I almost don't want to learn how to do it. It's like it's not my thing.
We have a machine here, so
We do?
we do. Yeah,
You have a what?
we have a machine.
What do you mean?
Would you guys want to buzz me on camera?
Like
Do you want to? Do you want to get?
Oh, you mean like a
We have-
razor or whatever? Like
yeah.
an electric razor?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have one of those at home too.
Yeah.
Maybe one day we can just do that. Just buzz me.
Do you want to get buzzed right now?
I have
We can
the
go
Tuesday
zero.
appointment.
We can go 0 right now.
Oh,
Oh, cancel it.
I don't want to
Cancel
cancel it.
Sorry, dude.
Yeah, I think that like the fade on the sides and like very short on the top.
Mhm.
That's my thing, and I think that's. I don't know. Do you guys think? What's interesting though is that it seems to me that you guys think I look better with this length hair than I do when it's like short like that.
I don't know if it's better per se. I just think that this like works, you know?
This looks good to me.
Yeah.
Better than the other one.
I don't know about better, but it looks good.
They both look good.
They both look good. Yeah.
Okay.
I like it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Do you guys ever have this experience where after going to the barber, you go to wash your hair,
Yeah.
and it's never-ending little pieces of
yeah.
hair
On your
Oh,
neck,
that's always so
on
on your
your
neck,
ears,
in your
yeah.
hair? Like I'm trying to get it out in your ears, and
Yeah.
I feel like I spend around 30 minutes just with the water running.
It
and
happens.
it's just never ending.
It happens to me, but again, because my hair is not very dense, like it's a pretty quick process. But if you have like really thick, dense hair, then it probably takes you way longer.
Mm.
I just as soon as I get home from a
Shower.
haircut, I shower right away.
There's very little feeling. There are very few feelings that are worse than that hair on your neck
Mhm.
feeling. You know what I'm saying?
I
And you're
am
driving home, and you have like your shirt's like it's all under your
yeah,
shirt.
I
Yeah,
just
oh.
as soon as I get home, I jump into the shower right away. But I gave up long ago on what you're talking about of like trying to get all the hairs out.
Yeah.
I just take a normal shower
Yeah.
and whatever hair comes out, like, you know, I try to be a little more thorough with it than normal.
Yeah, but I don't
But
want to
like
go.
whatever gets out, and then I just fucking go about my life.
Yeah, but I
and
don't-
I assume the rest of it just falls off
Dude,
like over time.
I don't want to go to bed, go to sleep, and then wake up and my pillow's
No,
full of
no
little
way.
hairs.
No,
I've
gotta-
never had that.
Me neither.
Oh, I've had that a couple
If I, wa-
times.
if I
Goodness.
shower or just even just dunk my head in and wash, shampoo, like I don't deal with it after that.
Okay.
Have you considered that doing like a full head submerge instead of like under the running
Sometimes
water?
I'll just get on my knees and under like head over the bathtub and just like pull the shower head and just like run it, wash, shampoo, whatever, and that's it.
I'm saying if you like filled the tub or even your sink and then just like reverse dunked your whole head in and sort of just like try to do it
Do you
that
think
way.
that would be more effective?
I don't know.
You know what else?
It's
I
just the
Should I
visual.
try it?
The visual to me of you on your hands and knees leaning over your bathtub, like dipping your head underwater is kind of
Are
funny.
you?
You know what
do you
else
happen to be behind me in this fantasy of yours?
I'd like to.
You know what I'll talk about?
Mm.
Let's talk about facial hair a little bit.
Mm.
Because here's an interesting question I have for you guys. So I've talked about this before, where I don't have the hair growing ability to make a goatee, and I don't like the way my face looks when I have beard hair on the sides. So this is the look I've gone with and that I'm going to commit to for my whole life probably.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm wondering is, in terms of the mustache to chin hair ratio,
Mm-hmm.
do you guys like the look of the chin hair being lined up vertically with the mustache hair, going wider, or going more narrow than the mustache?
Going more narrow right off the bat, you're risking too much resemblance with Hitler. You know what I'm saying?
I'm talking about the chin, you
The
fool.
chin part.
Oh, I thought you were talking about this.
No.
No, the
Oh,
chin
yeah.
part.
The mustache.
No, I wouldn't go narrower than the stash because then you're getting into like soul patch territory.
Sure.
And I think symmetrical or a little wider, like anywhere in that pocket is fine. But as soon as you start going like thinner on the chin part and like wider than the mustache, then I
Yeah.
feel like it becomes like more obvious.
Yeah.
And then eventually, yeah, you're in like, you know, fucking just this, and you're like rocking a soul patch. It's like, nah, what are you fucking old school Kratos? Get out of here.
Mm-mm. Okay. Yeah, because right now I have it a little bit wider, I think,
Yeah,
and I think that's a good look for me.
yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I mean that's kind of just generally what I wanted to talk about. So we can go right into what you wanted to talk about, Patrick.
There you go.
So what's up with airline food?
Dude, I love
know.
airline food. I mean, I wouldn't say love. I like airline
Tell
food.
me about it, Jerry Seinfeld.
I don't understand. Well, that's up. I don't understand why people hate it so much. I don't know what airlines people go on. I generally like my dad works at the airport, so like I've never really gone on Air Canada, I don't think. Maybe that's like
I think that's why.
maybe. But like the ones I've gone on are usually like, you know, Middle Eastern Airlines or like
Emirates.
Emirates or
You've gone on Emirates? Be serious.
I think I've been on Emirates before. Like he used to work for Etihad.
Oh,
Or
okay.
is that different? Etihad.
Etihad is, I think, I don't know. Etihad, yeah, is different from Emirates. Yeah.
And I've tried Turkish Airlines, which was cool.
Yeah.
And I've tried a few because he's worked at the airport. But like every time there's airline food, I always enjoy it, and it comes with like a little nice loaf of bread, some butter, and then like a plate of like chicken and rice or fish and like pasta, or like it's always pretty good. It's always decent.
A food that airlines are good to
Is
serve.
your topic seriously airline food?
It's not.
Okay.
It's cheesecake, because cheesecake is easy to preserve and easy to make. And I've never really had a bad experience when they're asking what dessert you want. I've never really had a bad experience with cheesecake.
Can we say like, have you guys ever been on first class before?
Never.
Me neither. That's like an all time. I want to do that at some point.
Yeah.
Just to like fly lavish and feel fantastic.
I want to join the Mile High Club.
Yeah, I was about to say who wants to be part of the Mile High Club.
Are you asking
You'll
us
never
to partake?
you'll never be able to do it unless you're on a private
Yeah.
flight, right?
Yeah. I mean, also, I
Or
mean,
just
here's
really
the thing.
ballsy.
I mean, my parents.
Yeah.
My parents were in like a business class or whatever. My brother and I were in economy.
And
But
your parents joined the Mile High Club.
I don't know.
Is that where
I
the
haven't
story's
asked,
going?
but I mean, they were able to have like their own like bed.
Ah.
They give you a little bed and they give you a curtain or whatever. So
Business?
yeah, I mean, it was like the specific flight it capped off at business. It didn't go to first class.
Okay.
So their business was kind of their first class, and it wasn't
Yeah.
like super fancy or anything, but they had like
They had a bed.
little mini bed. And
That
stuff.
sounds crazy. I've never been on a flight where they had beds before.
Yeah, man, it was great. I mean, I didn't experience it, but they showed me pictures, and I was like, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Anyways.
Okay,
that's the time to do it.
That is the
There
time
isn't
to join
time.
the Mile High Club. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, now on to the serious. Well, it's not a serious topic, but so I found something out recently that made me blood red angry. Absolutely.
Is this
fuming.
the woman? Because you're just now reminding me. You
No,
texted
it's
me
not the
saying you
woman.
wanted to talk.
I forgot
about
about that, and we don't. It's not her.
Do you want to get to that at some point? Should I keep
maybe
that
later.
mental note?
Maybe later.
I'll keep the mental note.
So, Matthew and I, as we've mentioned multiple times on the show, we supervise at work, and the people who we supervise are high schoolers. They teach lessons, they lifeguard, whatever. So I was at work the other week, and one of them is in the office, and we're just talking, and he goes, "Oh, I'm just about done high school," and we're like, "Congratulations!" And he says, I still can't believe this is a real thing what I'm about to say. He says, "I just had my celebration the other day." I said, "Huh?" "Yeah, I had my celebration with the school the other day." And I said, "You mean your graduation?" He said, "No, we don't do that anymore." I was like, "Excuse me, you guys don't do graduations anymore?" He said, "No, the school wanted to be more inclusive. So now everyone, even those who don't graduate, show up to like a stadium or like a auditorium, and you just walk on stage. They call your name. You take a blank piece of paper so everyone can feel included." And I was like, "Okay, so when do you get your diploma? Like, when do you get your stuff?" He goes, "Oh, they just mail it to you later."
Because I didn't graduate.
He goes, "Yeah, they just mail it to you later." And I was like, "What? What is this insanity that we're living in?" You know what I'm saying?
This gets into a big complaint of mine, which is the complete pussification of our society. We are victims of the, like, what's the trophy? Participation.
trophy.
That's the word I was looking at.
Yeah.
We are victims of the participation trophy generation of parents. And thankfully, I don't know about you guys, but I know in my case, my parents were like, I would get when I was playing fucking hockey and whatever, and like at the end of the year, if we didn't win and everybody still got like a trophy for that year, like my parents were kind of not like shitting on it, but like very kind of like made it known that it's like, yeah, you're getting this, but like it's not, it's kind of whatever.
It's worth nothing.
And I being like
You're nothing.
super competitive, you're nothing.
Just throws in the garbage.
I being super competitive from like a very young age,
I didn't even want it.
immediately just did not care about those types of awards. And like the awards that I've kept and haven't fucking thrown out now and that I still have like in a box in my basement somewhere are like MVP awards or like a tournament that we won or like this, like shit that you had to actually earn.
Yeah.
And that they didn't just give you for like, you know, fucking pulling up. Like when I did a track and field at I think elementary school and got like, you know, 70 something and got my little fucking ribbon, like trash right away. Cause it's like, what do I care kind of thing. So Yeah, we as a society have completely fucking failed. And I say that with no hyperbole because we're so... It's not so much us because, again, we're not necessarily in those, like, positions of
I'm so glad you
influence.
touched on that. Positions. So this is what I was reflecting on, this whole idea of a celebration instead of graduation for high school students. And I was thinking to myself two things. Thing number one, if we were to poll people, what would people want? And I think the majority of people would just say, have it as it's always been. If you graduate, you finish high school, then you
of course.
you have the graduation.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? That's thing number one. So where are these admission people coming up with the... where are they coming up with these ideas?
I think there's a lot of people who... I don't know. I think a lot of people use the phrase like bullshit job or whatever. I don't think a lot of these administrative jobs are necessarily bullshit when it comes to education. Like, they're definitely working on shit that they need to work on.
Yeah.
But I also think, like, when the school year is over, like, you have to have something to show for it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to be like, we started this initiative or we started this new program or whatever it is. So I feel like that sort of shit is like, they make it up and they create it and they do it, and it's not necessarily like a popularity vote because a lot of people would be like, this is stupid.
Yeah.
I just think it's like the job is like, oh, we got to create something new. Let's try this thing. Maybe more people feel happy about it.
So
Or maybe they've talked to people who didn't graduate in the past. Oh, would you have liked to like been a part of the ceremony? And
that
like,
touches on the
sure.
second point.
Yeah.
And I don't see a world where there's like a large amount of people who wish for a ceremony who didn't
I'd
graduate.
feel embarrassed, to be honest. I would be like, I'm here with these people who actually graduated and did the work, and I failed and I didn't do anything. Like, I'd almost feel insulted to be handed an empty piece of paper and be like, oh, I actually didn't do anything. Like, what am I even doing here? Type thing.
I'm inclined to agree with that. I feel like if I was in that position, I wouldn't want to be with...
I just
don't know what the point of it is.
Well, it's because I think we're, not to toot our horns too much, sensible and not fucking lunatics. And again, we're raised in a way to like understand that a lot of this shit doesn't mean anything and that it's like you earn things. And if you get awards for things, you know, it should be because you fucking earned them or put in the work or like, you know, actually achieved something and not just showed up and had a fucking pulse. Yeah, it's really frustrating because I have hated my entire life and hate it now.
I've hated my entire life.
I've hated my entire life. I've hated it my entire life, seeing it like thrust upon me and like our generation from like our parents' generation and like the couple generations before our parents even, of like, you know, every fucking kid gets included and all this. And because I was absolutely from the fucking generation of like, you know, nobody wins in gym class when we're playing dodgeball or whatever. Like, it's about fun and whatever. It's like, you know what's fucking fun? Winning. You know what
right,
sucks?
though.
Losing. And the problem with it is that, you know, we're sensible people, but the problem is it has created a generation, in addition to a multitude of other things, including social media and all these things, but it has bred such narcissistic, like weak-willed, shallow people who have grown up their whole life never losing at anything, never failing at anything, getting a fucking award for everything, and then it's like you get to the real world of like, no, we're not giving you this job. No, you're fired.
And
no, we're not accepting you to this school.
That's when you start blaming external shit.
And then they just like don't know how to react to shit. They don't know how to like, and this is why you get so many people around us, people that we know, people in the world at large that are like these entitled fucking assholes who think like they're owed everything on a silver platter just because their whole life they haven't been told fucking no, or you lost, or you didn't make it.
You know what's weird though? I think that a lot of this shit starts from like, you were saying like, you know, like the winners and losers thing. I feel like for some reason there's a perspective that like this generation has where losing is not like okay. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like losing is like this horrible outcome or whatever.
Yeah.
Whereas like for a lot of people, for a lot of, you know, more logical, sensible people, losing is just like it's a learning opportunity. You got to see where you fucked up, where you could be better, whatever. And it's just, it is what it is. Like you don't always get what you want in life or whatever. So to me, it's like for some reason this, like nobody loses. It's done as if to like spare feelings, but then like the outcome is worse than like, I feel like having like feeling sad a little bit for losing is better than, you know, the alternative of all you have to deal with your whole life with this like weird warped view of things.
And it's like there's people out there that are trying to like, somebody said this before where somebody made the joke where it's like people are out there trying to like remove sadness from like the human experience, where it's like,
So
no,
normal.
nobody should ever be like sad. Nobody should ever feel bad about losing or like not making a team or not getting a job or like this, that, and the other thing. It's like everybody should just be happy all the time and achieve and this, that, and the other thing. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
Doesn't make
It's-
any sense.
It's the opposite of what we should be promoting as a society, which is like working hard and like improving yourself and, you know, like not just being like getting everything you need and not working hard for it.
Yeah.
Like how are you supposed to live, like how are you going to live in a society where everybody just gets what they want no matter what? Like how's that even
And
make
that's
any
not
sense?
It
how
doesn't
society
exist, yeah.
works.
Yeah.
So it's like at some point you have to learn
Yeah.
that it's like, you know, sometimes it's going to fucking work out. Sometimes it's not.
You know what would be so I want to say two things. You know what would be way better is if they taught people how to deal with
Sure.
losing,
Yes.
or how to deal with sadness,
Like, imagine if-
instead of avoid sadness,
Yeah.
avoid sadness at all costs.
Imagine
you know
if,
what I'm saying?
imagine if in a gym class like you lose a game and then there's a reflective period after where you talk with your gym
yeah,
teacher.
had team huddle or
Yeah.
like just the two teams, like
And
the
then-
winning team huddles, the losing team huddles. I don't know.
And then maybe
something like
maybe
that.
you're thinking like, what did we do wrong? Like, why did we lose?
Yeah.
And then maybe the teacher there could be like, oh, you know, maybe you should work on your defensive positioning or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So like, there's ways to improve. And I also think ultimately, what annoys the shit out of me is that it's not fair to the people who actually like worked hard and like won.
So fucking
Who earned
Like
it.
I'm not saying like I don't know. I don't like to say like, oh, like screw the losers. Like the winners did what they needed to do. But at the same time, it's like you can't get the same reward for not working
get
hard.
a trophy too.
No, of course not. Because if
It's
you worked
like-
hard and you won, like you deserve it, and you perform better than somebody else. You know what it is? I think people conflate winning with you're a better person or some shit. Like you're inherently better because you won. It's like no, you just perform better.
Yeah.
The next day you might not perform as good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
just there's so many. Like I thank God that I played hockey and shit as a kid
Yeah.
because I feel like in so many ways that was like so
Humbling.
fundamental.
Yeah.
In like so many life lessons of like, you know, working hard for things,
Yes.
practicing for things. Sometimes you make the team.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't make the team. Sometimes you win the game. Sometimes you lose the game. Sometimes you play like shit and you personally cost the team the game and it's like entirely your fucking fault. Like I definitely had a couple games where I
Couple?
was like bawling my eyes out in the fucking change room after like a game, like just losing my mind of like how shit I did and that I like, you know, did a fucking bad pass and it wound up in the back of our net or something. Because it was like so infuriating to me of like, not only did we lose and we fucked up kind of thing, but it's like, it's my fault and it's
Yeah.
on me kind of
I
thing.
think there's I'm not saying this was your case, but I think that you can take the losing experience too far, you know? Like you could
Sure.
you can make yourself suffer more than you needed to. And I'm not saying that's what happened, but at the same time to me it's like it's what Patrick said of teaching how to deal with the loss in a healthy way where you can improve yourself and where at the same time you're still not like it's almost like the people who have created these initiatives of no losers are looking at it like black and white. Like either you lose and it's the worst possible scenario and everything is horrible and you feel bad about yourself and that's it.
Yeah.
Or you're just winning and you're the best. It's like there's no in between. There's no like I performed okay, but I can do better. Like I can improve this and that. Like I just feel like it's very like weird binary thinking, and it's not like real life. You know?
We had at our job a former boss of ours because I actually had this idea for this exact topic like last summer where it was
Yeah.
brought up at our job of like it was literally presented to us of like we're going to stop phrasing it as like
A fail.
passing and failing and we're just going to phrase it as like, you know, here's how much like, you know, when our staff are working with like kids and working with the public and all that shit, it's like, here's how much they progressed this section or session and blah, 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 blah. And it was like totally like the initiative was basically, we're not saying fail anymore. We're not saying didn't complete a level anymore. We're not like, it was totally to try and remove all of that. And it's like, here's my thing. I understand that our parents' generation and other people and the generations before that and all this, their heart's in the right place, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
They think they're doing like they don't think they're doing
Of
something
course not. No.
destructive
They
or
wouldn't
harmful.
do it otherwise.
Like they, in their minds, they're doing something
It's gonna help.
good for their kids.
Yeah.
I get that they think their heart's in the right place, but it's like I'm telling you you're wrong, and it's not. Because this was my whole thing that like as soon as we heard that like a year ago at this point
Is
now.
that in place right now?
No, thank God. But it's like when that was being like floated across a year ago, like I was talking to Patrick about it and it almost turned into my topic on the show of like, what the fuck are we doing? Like, why are we trying to be like, no, nobody fails anymore, blah, blah. It's like, why? To me, it's just when you make failure and losing and all this shit out to be like such a bad thing, or we're going to try and like eradicate it from the fucking human experience so that you never have to deal with it, never happens, blah, blah. Then when it does happen,
It's life. It's like
then you're screwed. And that's why you have people nowadays who are these like entitled little shits, or even just like not necessarily entitled, but just like who've never had to like deal with a loss or like say no or this, that, and then they deal with that, and then they have like a fucking nervous breakdown, and they like can't process it. And it's like, to your point of like, you know what you should be doing? Telling them and teaching them like, yes, you failed, yes, you didn't do this, yes, you didn't do that, you know, yes, you lost, whatever it is. Like
why did that happen?
Why did that happen?
Yeah.
How can you work on it? Here's how to cope with it, and then here's how to do better next time. Again, thank God for sports, because it was never like, we lost, that sucks, blah, 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 blah. I'm never going to pick up a fucking stick again. It was, we lost, blah, blah, blah. Next practice.
Yeah.
Working on things. Here's how we
Honestly,
fix this. This, that, and the other thing.
As like a future teacher, this to me connects to like the whole idea of like test taking and stuff. Because I feel like a lot of kids will kind of like that they grew up with this whole idea of losing being horrible and all this stuff, and I feel like they put extra stress and pressure on themselves by saying like, I'm not a good test taker or whatever, because like they did bad on a test one time and they freaked out, and it made them believe that they're just losers. Whereas if they grew up being taught that losing is a part of life, then they wouldn't feel that way, and they wouldn't be as nervous taking a test, because if you lose, so what? You just learn next time and you try to do better. Whatever.
Yeah, you do better.
So it just kind of cripples you in the future, and you can't really be mentally stable when you're trying to like perform. And even at a job, not just school. If you're getting out of school and starting a new job, like imagine the stress of like, oh, I'm gonna lose my job if I mess up one thing. Like you have to be okay and comfortable with messing up. That's the only way you're gonna be able to learn and be a better version of yourself. You know.
I remember years ago, my dad, I think it was at his school, some like higher up or someone telling him that he couldn't mark his like students' essays in red pen. That he had to use a different color because red pen was like seen as too aggressive and like too like you're mean. By the way, or whatever.
People use red pen generally because it pops more on the white page, but that's kind of a silly.
My dad didn't exactly take that advice to heart.
I blame. I'm almost certain that whoever said that to this person, if there is anything backing that idea, it's from like social psychologists, bros. I think social psychologists have been bungling it. We've been learning.
Yeah.
We've been learning, and even in my lab, like my professor, we've had casual conversations about the field of psychology generally. And she's like, yeah, there's a lot of like studies that have come out in the past where, you know, the social psychologists fudge the numbers a little bit, and it's all coming out now of like, this was kind of, you know, sketchy, and this isn't actually right, and we can't replicate this study because they messed up the numbers here. You know what I'm saying?
I've generally heard that sentiment that social psychology is very like flawed.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard that before as well.
Yeah. And I don't know if this is true or not. I wouldn't be surprised if it was, but you know the Milgram experiment?
What? Tell me about it. What is it?
The one where the researcher had the participant in a room with them, and
the shocking thing?
The shocking thing, yeah. Exactly. Apparently that one, with a few control variables, the effect goes away of authority on an individual. Mm. But yeah.
So kind of saying that the point that they were out to prove wasn't necessarily true.
Not necessarily, yeah.
In the right context.
In the right context, exactly.
Yeah, it's I don't know. The whole thing's dumb. You know what it is too? In addition to the sports thing too, it's like I want to sit people down sometimes and be like, play fucking video games.
Sure.
Like
right?
straight up, not kidding at all.
Play hard games.
Totally serious.
Play challenging
Go
games.
fucking play Bloodborne.
Yeah. Right.
It's like play a video game and like get your ass beat at something for a while and then like get better and overcome it. And it's like, and tell me what that's like. Because I promise you, yes, it's fun every once in a while when you like walk up to a boss and you like happen to clown it the first time. That is its own form of like satisfying. Mm-hmm. But it's like go against the boss, lose 2 or 3 times, and then beat it like the 4th time, and tell me like
the ecstasy,
what kind of feeling that's like, and how fulfilling that is to know that you like got better at it. And I know it's like a stupid example because it's like playing a video game or whatever, but it's like a serious thing of like,
mental fortitude, dude.
yeah, like just build some character in these people of like, and this is why you get people nowadays too, where it's like the ones that conflate the like equal opportunity with like the equal outcome
Yeah.
sort of thing,
Yeah.
where it's like equal opportunity. Absolutely. Across the board. Get everybody on the same level. Bring everybody up to the same
Yeah,
standard.
you got resources to use, whatever.
Yeah, like give everybody the same resources, same access. Abso-fucking-lutely. All that shit on like the front end of the pipeline should be fixed. But it's like the people acting like the end of the pipeline, like, and then everybody gets to succeed. It's like, well, fucking everybody doesn't get to succeed. But that's all you ever tell kids in our fucking generation when we were growing up of like, you know, everyone can succeed and this, that, the other thing and blah, 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 blah. It's like, well, you can.
Dude, that's what drives me crazy about
if you
like,
fucking put in the work.
That's what drives me crazy about like just outcomes of like, oh, we have to have X number of this type of person, X number of that type of person, and just like have it be completely equal representation of different groups of people. Where it's like that's ideal, but at the same time, like there's people who worked harder and did better, and they should be there regardless of where they're from or what their background is. Like it should be a merit thing, you know?
Yeah, like I'm sorry, it should be a fucking meritocracy. When the fucking thing like at Harvard a few years ago was going around where they were like stopping
no Asians, or
like
whatever.
letting
That's
Asian
so crazy.
students come in because they were just like cleaning up. And to me, it's like,
dude, they're doing better.
Isn't that a
better.
fucking sign to you, like here in North America,
We gotta up
of
things
like
too.
how shit the education system is and how you should be like bettering it and promoting like, you know, an actual work ethic and like studying and working hard and wanting to succeed and wanting to achieve and knowing that if you don't just get to fucking still get your blank piece of paper at your fucking congratulations ceremony. Like you have to actually
How
show
crazy
up,
is that?
Dude,
and
anyone who
do it kind of thing.
anyone who's promoting an education system outside of it who's promoting this whole idea of there being no losers and everyone being in the equal outcome, like you're doing a disservice to people who aren't. When they go into the workforce, they're going to be screwed. They're not going to be able to get a job. They can barely talk to people and have a job interview and be able to like speak to their outcome, like their skills and what they've done and what they've overcome and whatever. You just like they're happy and they're getting through everything like early in school time, but then once you go for a job, it's like you're screwed. So you're helping them a little bit in the beginning, but then you're screwing them for their ultimate future.
Yeah, and it's just like the fucking real world's not like that. And it's always so dumb to me every once in a while when I see one of those clips floating around of like, you know, somebody at like a fucking college campus or whatever, and they're like, you know, should the most qualified person get the job, or like, you know, should they try to diversify the field, whatever, blah 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 blah. And the fucking people are always like, yeah, you know, diversify things, blah blah blah. It's not fair if it's only the people qualified for the job. And I always want to just like grab those people through the fucking my phone screen and shake them and be like, if you or your kid or a loved one needed a fucking life-threatening surgery and you have two doctors presented to you and one of them's the fucking most qualified person for the job who's been doing it for 10 fucking years and one of them got there because, you know, to fill a fucking quota. I'm like, which doctor are you gonna pick, motherfucker? Because I guarantee you, when you're going under the knife, or your fucking parent or your kid's going under the knife, or some other loved one, your fucking pet at the vet, I guarantee you 10 out of 10 times, if you were slid those two profiles across the fucking counter and you had to pick the doctor, 10 out of 10 times you're picking the more qualified one. So it's like, then what are we even talking about?
I think it's just like I think it's like done out of like fear, you know? Yeah. Like you don't want to have to work really hard. It's tough. There's a lot of competition out there. You don't want to be in a place where you have to like level up and struggle and go through adversity and all this shit. You just want to be there. You want to be at a successful place, and you don't want to have to go through that. So it's like, oh, if we get an equal representation of groups of people, then I don't have to go through all that shit. Yeah. I can just get there. Yeah. And also I think, before you go, I think it's like a delusional thing of like, some people are like that, and I think some people actually think that they're straight up being like prevented from certain things. Like, I think that some people think that hard work has nothing to do with it. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not trying to sit here and say that there's no external factors. Of course there is. But at the same time, I feel like hard work is a big part of it, and some people don't even think about that at all.
Yeah. Well, this whole idea of quotas almost feels like it's the easy solution
to a complicated problem. Sure.
Where I don't think it's necessarily there's nothing inherently wrong with wanting
Diversity.
more representation, but
Sure.
like the way
For the right
that they're
reason,
doing
though.
it for the right reason, exactly. So
Yeah.
the way they're doing it's the easy way
Yeah.
of like, okay, we're gonna just at this checkpoint where the admissions office is, that's where we're gonna apply the principle.
It's like
Whereas
yeah,
they should, I feel like, and it's harder. It's a harder job.
100%.
Where if you try to build them up when they're younger, whoever,
Yeah.
like everybody, try and
Yeah.
build everyone up when they're younger so that they are at a point where they are competitive when you finally get to the admission stage.
I think
It would be better
I
that
think
way.
they
You
have
know what I'm
their-
saying?
I think if they have their heart in the right place, right?
Yeah.
But like what Matty was saying, if, for example, if a certain group of people, like with Harvard and the Asian population,
Yeah.
you think to yourself, like, why is this group so highly accepted? Like, what are they doing that we could be doing?
Yeah.
How could we work with a different population to make sure that they're up to that level,
Yeah.
so that they are equally represented?
Mm.
It should be like, I feel like they just want to see again the outcome as opposed to making sure that everyone has the same opportunity and the
Trajectory
same
almost,
trajectory, yeah,
yeah.
the same path. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's really dumb, and it's really frustrating, and it just drives me nuts. And I just firmly, vehemently believe that it's doing more harm
100%.
than it is doing good.
Yeah.
And again, I get that people's hearts are in the right places. It's kind of the way, honestly, I feel about, like, not to take it down the, like, political avenue, but it's like, well, we're talking about specifically with, like, the colleges and all that stuff, and sort of this whole thing generally is more of a, like, overcorrection of, like, liberal politics kind of thing, even in, like, the parenting of, like, you know, yeah, every fucking kid gets a trophy and blah, blah. Like, it's all kind of this, like, overcorrection of, like, the liberal stuff, and it's almost like, being a liberal guy, I look at a lot of shit like, you know, that the Liberal Party does here, that like the Democrats do in the States. And it's like, even though some of it might frustrate me or drive me nuts, like, you know, fucking colleges being like, yeah, we're not going to take the fucking Asian kids who are kicking everybody else's asses because we want to, like, you know, make it more representative. It's like, I am sympathetic to and compassionate to the idea that it's like, I get that their hearts are in the right places. It's like when these fucking lunatics on the right are like, you know, oh, the liberals like go after your kids and all this shit. I'm like, no. I'm like, again, the heart's in the right place. It's just like, you know, we're overcorrecting. You know, we're swinging a little too far, a little too much sauce on it than we need.
The last thing I wanted to say about this was, like, you guys know, like, I think it's like the MLK Jr. quote where he's talking about, like, judging people on the content of their character and not on the color of their skin or whatever.
Yes.
For some reason, that for a long time was like the gold standard of how we should live in society. Like, everyone agreed with that. Like, most people who weren't like racist assholes, like, everyone agreed that you should judge people based on who they are and how hard they work and just who they are as people internally as opposed to what they look like. And I feel like that's such a noble thing to strive for. And now for some reason, it's the opposite. Like, most people, like, a lot of these people with these initiatives, which happen to be like more liberal perspectives, for some reason is just like, that MLK Jr. thing is not true. You shouldn't judge people on the content of their character. You should judge them on which groups they reside with and to make sure they're equally represented. It's
yeah, it's all this identity politics shit, and this is what I'm saying, where it's like, I get that people's hearts are in the right places,
Yeah.
but it's like, my argument is that you're going about it the wrong way. And it's like, listen, as somebody who has been relatively, like, politically aware for a long time kind of thing, and, like, grown up and thought about this shit, it's like, we lived through the, like, mid 2010s to 2016 with the fucking Trump getting elected. This goes back to my State of the World rant forever ago, where I mentioned how, like, the fucking left just completely lost their mind after Trump got elected. And it's like, we lived through that shit because it's like, our entire fucking lives growing up, it was content of character. You know, we don't care about people's immutable characteristics. I don't care what your religion is.
yeah,
I
when
don't
we
care
were
what your
kids.
skin color is.
That's the way it
I don't
should
care
be,
what your
yeah.
sexual orientation is. Like, we don't care about that any of that shit. You know, we don't see color. And I can clear as fucking day remember being in high school in grade 11 or 12 fucking religion class when I was taking social justice and not the other fucking religion because I just couldn't care less. And taking social justice. And we were talking about, like, microaggressions and all these things. And one of the points brought up was, like, you know, oh, saying I don't see color is wrong because then it's like you're, like, erasing people's identities and this, that, the other thing. And it was like,
Why
hold
is
on
that-
a
why
fucking
is that erasing
second.
people's
It was
identities?
like, what happened to I don't care who you want to marry. I don't care what you want to fucking God you want to pray to. I don't care about your skin color. I don't care about any of this shit that fucking doesn't define you. Like, I care about who you are as a person. Are you a good person?
What do you think caused that, though? What do you think caused that switch from caring more about content of character to now? Why did it switch to now where people think you not seeing color is like a bad thing? Like, why did that happen?
I think it's a multitude of things. I just think...
You think the idea was just overplayed for people, and they're like, "Oh, everybody says that they don't see color." And they're still racist.
I don't know. I just think like a lot of, again, well-intentioned, well-meaning people with their hearts in the right place, liberal people, lost their fucking minds. Of like, suddenly it's like we have to talk about everything and this, that, the other thing, and blah 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 blah. And it's like, listen, I'm not saying I'm not saying when it's Black History Month, you shouldn't, like, as a black person, like, take the time to acknowledge that. I'm not saying during Pride Month, you shouldn't, like, celebrate and go to the Pride parades and fucking, talk about that or post about, like, I'm not saying any of these things, but it's like, there was a time when these things didn't define people. Because it's like, you know what the least interesting thing to me about other people is like
shit they can't
what
control?
your fucking like what your religion is,
or where you were happening,
or like
where you
what
were
your
born,
skin color is, or what sexual orientation. It's like that tells me nothing about you. It's not that I don't care, and I'm not saying that in like I don't give a fuck. I'm just saying in like a
It's not as valid.
that's like I don't
That's not
build
who you are.
friendships off of
That's
that.
not, that's
like
not who you are.
I never lead, and I feel like people say this, and then other people be like, "Yeah, because you're straight and blah blah blah," or straight white guy, and it's just fucking your life's just been hunky dory. But it's like
That's fucking stupid.
my lead in to meeting people is never like I'm an atheist.
Yeah.
I'm white. I'm straight. Like that's not how I fucking.
You're talking about stuff you're passionate about. Your personality.
To like, yeah, it's like, hi, I'm Matt. Like. I'm trying to get into like movies and entertainment. I'm trying to write comic books. Like, oh, I really like video games. I really like sports. Like, oh, fucking, you want to know a good place to go get drinks? Like, that's the kind of shit that I try to like radiate outwards to people. And that's the kind of shit that when people radiate back, that's what's interesting.
Sure.
That's how I get to know people. It's like, you being like, yeah, I'm Catholic or whatever, or any other religion, or it's like, oh, I'm this whatever. Like, if you say, in your guys' case, you're both born in Egypt, so it's like, that's interesting.
To me,
that's part of the equation. If I met I've met people, I met fucking people at Sheridan when I was in school and whatever, friends of mine who would be like, I'm from, I'm an exchange student from Ukraine, or I'm an exchange student from Vietnam. And it's like, oh, that's interesting. Like, tell me about that. And obviously that, like, makes up who you are as a person, and that factors into it and blah blah blah. But it's like, is that really what you define yourself as? Like, that's what I don't get on the opposite side. It's like, is that like, really how you like, if you were gonna tell somebody about yourself who you are, like,
I'm Vietnamese.
The fact that you're like, I'm Canadian, but I'm Canadian, I'm proud of it, blah blah. But I'm like, but that's not what I would consider like,
and there's like
a defining trait.
And there's like 30 million.
Myself.
There's like 30 million other Canadians. So like that's not like a unique thing about yourself. Or, it's not like it's not like commenting on your personality or your spirit or your interests or your passions. Like, it's just commenting on a wide statistic that many. Or people
it's like, if I was gay, it's like that wouldn't fucking. It's like, yeah, like the bang dudes. That doesn't like factor into like, ask me about what my passions are, what I'm interested in, or, like, am I a good person? What fucking food do I like to eat? What would I like to do with my life? Like, get to know me as a like, fucking, all the other shit is just, like, surface level and, like, to me, bottom of the barrel shit of, like, the shit you would mention at the end. I'm like, oh, yeah, and by the way, I like sucking dick. And it's like, oh, okay, like, thanks, but it's like, I can't imagine... I can't literally imagine leading with that, but I can't imagine like leading with that of like, hi, I'm Matt, I'm gay. Hi, I'm Matt, I'm white. Hi, I'm Matt, I'm fucking an atheist.
I think that getting to know who people are personally is a good way to actually avoid like stereotypes and racism and assumptions and all this shit. Like, if I got to know somebody and like their personality and what they're interested in or whatever, and then afterwards happen to find out that they're whatever, gay, straight, whatever, wherever they're from, like, to me, a lot of people who might have preconceived notions about certain groups of people or ethnicities or whatever, if you got to know somebody, you would probably be like, oh, maybe I was being unfair thinking all these types of people were this way. You know what I'm saying? So I think it actually helps to like get to know people and like who they actually are, and then you like change the way you think about that sort of
Yeah, I don't like the identity politics for like the reason of just that. I think, and I think I mentioned this in the State of the World rant of just like, I think it's just the wrong focus of like, listen, we as a society should not be worrying about, you know, what fucking people's genders are and if they want to like do whatever you want. Who cares? It's like, or what fucking God people pray to. It's like, these are not the things that we should be worried about, not even in like what we're talking about of just like getting to know people, but in like a actually solving and fixing things. It's like class, money. Those are the fucking things. There was just a guy on the fucking Daily Show talking to Jon Stewart, and he's this reverend in the States, I think in some southern state, and he's like just this, you know, soft-spoken black preacher and whatever, and he wrote this book called White Poverty, which Jon Stewart was talking about, and he's like, oh, you call it white poverty, like, blah, 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 that's interesting. And he's like talking about how, you know, whenever we talk about poverty in the States, and like you could broaden out to Canada, he's like, you know, they always show like some poor minority, like either living on the street or some like single mother, blah, 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 blah. He's like, and then you immediately like racialize poverty, and you make it like, you know,
a racial issue.
Oh, it's a black issue or an Asian issue or this thing, that thing, and the other thing. And he's like, it ignores, and his point in calling it white poverty is like, it ignores, for example, like tons and tons and tons of white people who are like just as poor as any minority group, but like
probably a lot of them too.
Exactly, and don't necessarily get like the same focus or attention or whatever. And his other point too is like, and this is also like the point, and just hearing this guy say it was like so like vindicating in a sense of like hearing somebody else say it, of like the poor person in the fucking Bronx in New York and the poor person in the fucking Appalachian Trail and wherever in the States, like the white person, the black person, it's like those two people are aligned in the same issues of like healthcare, housing, food, education, like access to basic things, all these things. It's like they are simpatico on this shit.
To each other, they probably like vent a lot about the same shit.
Exactly, but it's like, but people get hung up on the like,
but look at
the race thing of it or the gender thing of it. Like when people make the thing of like, you know, oh, a homeless white person on the streets is still better off than like, you know, a middle class like
says that,
black guy, and people make that claim, and it's like,
you're telling me a white guy sleeping on the floor in the freezing cold is better off than a black guy sleeping on the floor?
And people make that claim because they're like, oh, he's still
saying
like
a black middle class guy is what he said. That was the comparison.
And people will make that claim because they'll be like, oh, but the white homeless guy still has like, you know, white privilege, and he's not going to get stopped by like a cop on the street. And
what do these people say?
But I'm like,
what white privilege?
I don't fucking know. But my point is just that it's like, but this is what I'm saying. And this is what this like reverend was talking about, where it's like, we're missing the forest for the trees here. The point should fucking be that it's like poverty. And his whole thing is like, his argument was that he's like, I consider it basically criminal that the richest country on earth that could, because his whole point, and he's not wrong at all, where he's like, the government could come out tomorrow and be like, we're ending homelessness and poverty and just like giving everybody the money to sustain it, and all the fucking right-wing people would lose their mind and they just cry socialism and all this shit. He's like, but we as a country, as America, have the money that we could come out tomorrow and end it like fucking that. And he's like, and we don't. And he's like, and it's criminal that the government doesn't do that kind of thing. I think but to me, it's just the point of like, that to me is the ultimate example where it's like the class issue there is the problem. It's not the issue that whether or not the fucking person is white or black who's living on the street. It's like the issue is they're living on the street.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's the fucking root of the matter. So it's like, that's one very specific angle of why forcing everything into the identity politics of like, you know, are you gay? Are you straight? Are you this religion? Are you that religion? Are you this skin color? Are you that? Like, that's why it works against the good intentions of people, because it's like, you just miss the forest for the trees. And to me, it's like, you know what, to put it in a succinct point, to put a nice little bow on it, to me, the key example of this is that when you look at polling from like 2001, 2000, 2002, like whatever, 20, 25 fucking years ago at this point, and you asked people back then, white, black, brown, Latin, Asian, fucking indigenous, whatever, how racist is it in the States, Canada, like anywhere in North America, blah, blah, blah. And the fucking numbers were lower then than they are now. And it's like, things clearly aren't perfect. Things clearly aren't, amazing. These people who like to walk around and be like, what do you mean racism is still a problem? Go fuck yourselves. Like, turn on the fucking news and watch it once in a while. Clearly there are still problems. Clearly there are still things.
And by the way, I don't think that socially it's necessarily ever going to go away.
Sure. That's a whole other thing.
I think that people are like, the people who are saying like it's not a problem at all, like is it as big of a problem as it used? I don't know. To me, it's like it's.
But to me, it's just that like things have undeniably
gotten better.
For
sure.
People like to argue that. People like to cry about that. Whatever. But I'm like, sorry, it's gotten better than it was.
Literally, it's
and
true.
The fact that the polling from like 20 years ago compared to now, the same polling with the same groups of people think that it's more racist now than people 20 years ago did. Tells me personally all I need to know of like, we're going about this wrong. Like, it's not. Obviously, you have like more emboldened fucking idiots on the right when you have like in 2016 or 17, whatever the fuck it is, like these idiots in Charlottesville doing their fucking, these white nationalist protests and all that shit. It's like, sure, obviously people see that and they think it's worse now than it was 20 years ago.
I think it's a social media, like a press, like a publicity thing of like more people see his shit going on.
Almost certainly that too. But to me, it's just like the fact that when 20 years ago, we weren't constantly thinking and talking about all this, and this wasn't how you like identified everybody and broke everybody up into all these different social groups. The fact that before all this shit ran amok, people thought things were better than they are now, to me personally, is all the proof I need of like, again, hearts are in the right place. I get the right intentions are there. I understand all of that. I understand that like a lot of these people who push for these things or argue these things or say these things are just trying to like make things better for everybody. I get that. We are in agreement in that idea of let's make things better. Let's try to stop some of these problems and these inequalities. Abso-fucking-lutely. But it's like your heart's in the right place. You're going about it the wrong way. I don't know. It's a whole fucking thing. That went all over the place.
Yeah.
Long story short, stop handing out fucking participation trophies.
Full circle, baby. All right.
I don't know. Do you have anything else, Patrick? I'm sorry. I kind of just went off at the end there.
No, I don't have anything else. Okay. Do you have anything to add?
No.
There you go. Be good people. Well, now, let's stray away from the serious things.
That's so hot in here.
It's fucking, I'm sweating balls. And let's do something a little fun. I thought of this topic just recently, within the past couple days. And I don't know how this is going to go. I think it'll be kind of fun, but I guess we'll see. And if it's shit, then we will duck out sooner rather than later. So here's the thing. I've talked about before on the show that, I'm trying to get comics made and all that stuff. And I've been doing a lot of script writing and more stuff recently, especially over the past 6 months of this year or whatever. And I've wanted to, like, talk about some of those ideas and stuff with you guys on the show. But I know, like, forever ago when I mentioned doing it, Patrick was like, well, why? But then your ideas are going to be out there. And, like, what if somebody takes it, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, you're right. Like, maybe it's better to keep some of that stuff to the chest and whatever. And I'd still kind of like to do that with some of the comic booky stuff one day. But recently, I thought of something that I was thinking we could do together. So forever ago, I had this idea. I'm a big fan of, my animated adult comedies. Your Simpsons, Family Guy, Futurama, Archer, Rick and Morty. Most recently, shout out Smiling Friends.
The best one.
And I'm also a fan of, like, How I Met Your Mother and, like, my beloved It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia and, because of my dad's influence. There's like older shows like Cheers and Frasier and Taxi and like some of these sitcoms that I like and whatever. Fuck Friends. And so I had this idea years ago, just a loose premise of doing, I don't know if it would be like animated or live action, but doing an adult oriented, you know, comedy show about lifeguards and like, you know, being at
sitcom?
like and being at the pool and all that, you know, like a workplace kind of thing, but like specifically
like tires.
Sure, like tires, but like
Tires is so
lifeguards. And the name I had for it years ago, and I remember mentioning this to people and people thought it was funny, was, you know, obviously at a pool you have the pool deck.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'd like to call the show is Big Wet Deck, because it sounds like big wet dick. And to me, that sort of sets the tone for what we're going for here. And the other day I was just happened to be thinking about that idea, and an idea for an episode popped into my head, and so did a second one, actually. So what you'll notice on the screen here is one of my many Google Docs that I have with notes and ideas and things like that. And what I was kind of hoping the three of us could do was sort of do a little writer's room type experience, and sort of just like, I don't know if we're necessarily going to like write a script per se, and I've been like used to writing comic scripts for a while now, so I like we could do like a film TV script, but I'd have to like, you know, buff it up afterwards of like the formatting and all that stuff because I kind of forget. But I don't know, I just wanted to kind of like talk to you guys about it, maybe talk about like, you know, what the characters would be and just kind of like my ideas for like these first 2 episodes, because a part of me would like to try maybe actually writing like a 20-minute tops for like a normal full episode of TV, but maybe take like the Smiling Friends approach and maybe try and do like a 10-page, 10-minute script, and maybe even try just filming it and like kind of just making it.
Wait, is it a cartoon or is it
I mean, if we're making it, it would be like a filmed thing. Like it wouldn't be an animated thing. But like, I just want to like, I like the idea of actually doing this, like writing it, going out, filming it, and making it, and then just like,
act in it?
Please. And like putting it out just on like YouTube or whatever, and like trying to make it like, not trying to necessarily make it like a YouTube show, but just seeing like, could anything like come of it? Like,
I honestly think that as long as it's like you have like decent like recording equipment, like video equipment and shit. I think if it's like, I mean, obviously there's a lot of things that have to be right, but I think that for the biggest thing for it to actually be like a successful, I don't know about like popular or whatever, but like for it to, I think, gain some sort of traction is to be like good audio, good video, and then like good writing.
Exactly.
I think those are the big 3 things.
And this is where I bring you guys in. So for Big Wet Deck, I don't know if we're necessarily going to write like scripts right now or just kind of jot notes for ideas and things. But I know this has been a really long lead in. I apologize. But the idea of the topic is I just wanted to like writer's room style, like an actual sitcom, like just spitball ideas and come up with things and just sort of jot them down of like what this show could maybe be. Yeah. So just to sort of get the ball rolling here, the idea in my head, I'm definitely taking a lot of inspiration from It's Always Sunny, is that it would be like a core, let's say, Seinfeldian 4 central characters, maybe like 3 dudes and a woman that are like the 4 main people working as lifeguards at this pool. So I don't necessarily in my head have like character profiles for them yet. So that could be something we maybe look at here. But the idea I had for the pilot would be that at the beginning of the episode, somebody comes to complain to the lifeguards in their office that they've like seen somebody masturbating in the change room, in like the change room, like the public change room shower, or whatever. And they come to complain about it. And what I like the idea for the episode to be is that the person that was doing it was one of the 4 main characters on the show, again, in like a very It's Always Sunny, like in my head, it's like, fucking Charlie would be at the bar, like, and somebody would catch him doing this. So it's like the idea is that like one of the characters on the show was doing it, got caught. Somebody comes to complain about it, but they don't like name or know that it's like one of the lifeguards or whatever. They just come complain and they're like, there's somebody fucking in the bathroom, like doing this, blah, 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 blah. And then sets up the mystery with the rest of the characters for the episode of like, okay, we have to get to the bottom of figuring out who this was kind of thing. While the fourth character, their sort of B story in all this is them trying to figure out how to like cover their tracks or like pin the blame on somebody else or like, whatever. Because in my notes here, I wrote that like the culprit tries to pin it on someone else. So they find some old weirdo and sort of lead him into doing it and then take the fall for it. And in my head, casting it, I'm like, it's my dad. But like, I like the idea of, let's say like the person who was the one doing it, they like, they're on the streets, they go into like an alley and they just find some like weird homeless guy or whatever. And they're like, hey, like, do you want to come to this place and you can just like, shower or whatever and like clean yourself up? And they're like, all right, like, I guess I'll take you up on that kind of thing. And then they're in the shower when like the rest of the people on the show catch the person in there and they're like, that's the fucking guy that like the lady was complaining about. And, the other person gets to like get off scot-free with it kind of thing. So I don't know. That was like the setup in my head. The other one here, just to sort of get you guys in the headspace of where I was at, is the idea of like if a camp day thing was going on and our four main characters get wrapped up in basically like helping out with like the summer camps and the four of them have to basically volunteer as like counselors for like a day or whatever. And the idea in my head is that there's like teams happening. So all the like kids are sort of broken up into like, a red team and a pink team and a white team is like the sort of setup. Because the idea that I like is the three of the four people, or maybe it's all four of them, getting split up to like each run this team and getting super competitive with each other and making it like really inappropriate and like over competitive amongst each other.
I just pictured like a race, like in the pool, like a race, and then like cutting to one of the four people and like just like screaming at the kid like, go faster.
Yes, like where they're like really hard on the
face.
kids and they're like making it not fun for the kids anymore and like kids are crying because they just like they're just there to have fun and they're like losing their minds kind of thing. And in my head, like this entire episode spawned from one joke or like one line in my head, which is like, so let's say it's like, I think I have it written down here where it's like, there would be a red team that would come up with like, the character on the show leading their team would make it like their team cheer would be like
blood,
weird, like weirdly violent and like, we're red, we're gonna fucking rip off your head, like way too inappropriate for kids. The pink team would be, I think the girl character on the show would get the pink team thinking that it's going to be more of like a girl team, but then it winds up like all being boys. But she was like ready to go in and lead this sort of like, pro-feminist, like whatever team. And then she winds up with like a bunch of these fucking little boys and is like, well, now I have to like change all this girl power shit and like try and like rework it and finagle it. But the central sort of joke was one of the characters being the head of the white team and like talking to the kids and being like, okay, so like, what's our cheer going to be like? Anybody got any ideas? Anybody got anything like cool that we could do for the white team? And one of the kids piping up and being like, well, my daddy always says if you ain't white, you ain't right. And the guy being like, perfect, let's go with that. And then like making that their cheer so that like, in my head later in the episode, they would get to the team cheers and it's like the red team does this like way too inappropriate violent thing and like the pink team, it's like a all boys team, but they're doing some like girl power chant or whatever, and then it gets to the white team and it's just this like none of them realize it, like the kids obviously don't realize it and the idiot character running the team doesn't realize it, but they're just doing this like really inappropriate like race fucking like cheer or whatever of like, if you ain't white, you ain't right and all this shit. So this is where my head's at with this show. So I don't know, like, discuss, talk to me. What are you guys thinking? What do you got?
What do you mean, like for
for which
anything
episode?
and everything?
For what you have?
Anything and everything. I'm just open to any notes at this point.
Okay.
Ideas, spitballs, jokes, bits. characters
So,
is
I
also
mean-
something.
I mean, a bit that I was thinking of was like a kid wanting to like play, like they have like a pool like noodle or whatever, or what I don't know what toys or shit you have at the pool, but like one of the like the super competitive like 4 characters is like sees a kid like trying to like have fun, whereas like he's trying to train them and shit, and he just like one of the kids is playing with a ball and he just kicks it out of his hand or some shit, or like just like really, and the kid gets really sad or cries or something.
Yeah,
Kind of like being like inappropriate that way.
true. For the first episode, what is like the investigation like, Matt?
So that like kind of the A plot of like them trying to get to the bottom of what happened. That I hadn't necessarily thought through as much. In my head, it's just like the inciting incident right at the beginning of like somebody comes and complains. They're like, okay, we have to get to the bottom of this. With the B story of the other guy being like trying to, trying to like pin the blame on somebody and like clear his name sort of thing. So that like when they figure out who it is, they don't figure out it's him. So the B story in my head is like more complete, I guess, of like he also figures out or hears that this is happening, sort of bows out of taking part in the investigation, and then leaves and is sort of like out trying to like find someone to take the fall, sort of thing. In my head even too, I know I mentioned the idea of like maybe bumps into like a homeless guy on the street, but again, thinking of my dad, I almost like the idea more if he's like, if I could just find some perverted weirdo who would do this, or you'd think just looking at him would do this, that would be an easy person to take the fall. And in my head, if it's like he goes to like an adult sex shop or whatever and like just happens to bump into a customer there, and again in my head it's my dad and is like, hey, like you look like, kind of thing or whatever, like would you be interested in like, and doesn't like say, like you're gonna take the fall or like get fucking arrested or in trouble or for anything, like, but kind of like persuades this like sort of weird guy into like coming with him and pinning it on him. So the B story in my head is a lot more fleshed out. The A story of like what are they doing for this investigation, not totally.
I think it could be
set.
like some not because I was kind of thinking of like when we were watching Tires as well, like some representative coming and like interviewing people, like kind of coming with a clipboard and like talking to people and being like, what the fuck happened, like interviewing different workers there, and then like, you could do like a 1-by-1, like the girl gets interviewed first and then the guy and then like with the other, one of the 3 guys, and then like just keeps going that way, and it's like, and then one of the people getting interviewed is the guy who's guilty. And he's like kind of like somewhat, I don't know, you can try to see how you can make that funny, whether he's like obviously guilty and he's like trying to hide it really bad, or if he's like really good at hiding it or something.
I was thinking that maybe you could have like the A plot, the investigation plot, being like showing them trying to figure out who did it, but just like being like really like nonchalant about it, just checking the change rooms or whatever, and maybe they're like they're having some ridiculous conversation about, oh, like how would you like do this but actually get away with it, like, you know what I'm saying?
Sure, yeah, because I want it to be the thing of them trying to like almost reverse engineer it, of like, well, who would do this? How would they do this? Like, do they then go check security footage? Do they like, they're like combing the change rooms for shit, and one of them is like, see if you see any fucking cum anywhere, like that kind of shit of just ridiculousness of like trying to like look for evidence, or like, maybe they're like
a black light,
like taking a black light, exactly, or they're like harassing like people, like, did you see anything like as a witness?
I think it'd be funny to have like the black light, like when they figure out who the guy who did it is, and they just run a black light over his hand. It's just like all over his hand.
Oh my god, Jesus Christ! Yeah. And maybe you could have it where it's like 2 people are like going, investigating in quotes, being like ridiculous or whatever, and then the third. So then there's the person who's like trying to cover their own ass. And then the 4th person is just getting like reamed by this lady. Maybe she had like a kid and the kid saw this guy masturbating or whatever. And it could be some like, that's like C plot of like, this guy's like trying to like deal with this lady.
Oh, they spend like the whole episode, like every time you cut back to the office, they're just like still getting reamed out by this lady.
Maybe.
Interesting. Yeah. I do like that of just like, ma'am, like I'm trying to, and just like still just fucking losing her shit. I do kind of like that. I'm taking some notes here.
Okay. With this,
I like the idea of this lady who's upset, yelling about it, and like one of the characters, preferably the one who actually did it, kind of being like, you're overreacting. This is stupid what you're doing. You know
Well,
what I'm
in my head,
Come on,
too,
isn't that big of a
Yeah.
deal?
in my head too, it's like the beginning of the episode would be like, let's say, in my head, even it's not all three of the characters, but let's say it's like one of the characters is sitting in the office. Lady comes up to the door, like comes storming out of the change room up to the door and is like knocking on the door or whatever. And they answer to her like, yeah, can I help you? Blah, blah. And like she starts freaking out, being like, there's somebody in there masturbating, blah, 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 like losing her shit. Storms off kind of thing. And then like seemingly out of nowhere, the guy that was doing it comes into the office.
And he's just like eating Doritos or some shit.
Yeah, like kind of comes into the office, sort of trying to like
Like, rubbing
play,
his belly,
like
he's like-
yeah, like trying to play it off, or maybe they look a little flustered, kind of thing, like or their fucking shirt's not quite on right because they like put it on in a rush, like something where it's like they then kind of enter the scene and are sort of like oh what.
I almost think it would be funnier for the person to come in who did it to be like super like so relaxed and chill. You know.
This is also
Like,
true.
yeah.
Sure, if they like just
after.
just
just
fucking.
Just maybe eating something,
Jerked
snacking on
off or
something,
whatever.
and just like rubbing their belly, just hanging out.
And then coming into the scene and being like, oh, what was that all about? And then being like, I don't know, like this fucking lady was complaining about somebody masturbating, blah, blah. And then them having the sort of
Yeah.
like, pale face moment of like, shit, fuck, like that was
Yeah.
me kind of thing. And then like formulating the plan of like, oh, like you guys are going to look into that perfectly. I'm just going to step out for a little bit. And then like that kicks off that character's B plot of like, I have to go figure out how to like cover my tracks sort of thing. And while the rest of them are doing the investigation.
I think it would be funny for the guy who got caught, or to be like, to pretend like he doesn't know what's happening and be like, oh, like, did you see him? Like, did you see what the guy looks like? That sort of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, what was I gonna say?
What games are they playing for the second episode?
the
what
camp.
I think they can do
Yeah.
a race. It's
I
like
think
a
it would be like
Race.
a race, or it would be like volleyball or soccer, like maybe some
Oh, okay.
team things, or
Yeah.
like a relay race.
Is it
maybe it's stuff
confined
I
to the
thought-
pool,
yeah, I
or
thought it was
is
gonna be
it?
the pool?
No, in my head, it's like it would maybe like broaden out to the facility again, kind of in
What
like
if they-
an
what
It's
if they-
Always Sunny way. In my head, it's like how in Always Sunny, it's like the bar is sort of like the central location, but they branch out obviously.
Yeah.
Same with like How I Met Your Mother. It's like you've got the bar, or Friends
Apartments.
has like Central Perk or whatever.
You know, I
But
think
it's
it'd be
like
funny.
they branch out to like
What if they did something really inappropriate, like making the kids like box?
sure,
Like bringing
even
boxing
something
gloves,
that
and
yeah.
the kids are really scared, and you're just like slapping his shoulders, like getting him ready, and he's like kind of like jolting you. Like, you're like, we're gonna fucking do this,
Yeah.
and you're like, and you have like your little crew, and you're kind of like you're giving him water, and it's like a very professional looking. You're really like training them for it.
Yeah.
I will say though, the only thing with this sort of like camp day episode is I would also really like to maybe do this episode too, but that then requires me to like go to the fucking like camps in town basically, and I'd have to just like get everybody to sign waivers basically being like, hey, do you mind if your kids are just like on screen while we sort of like film this like stuff around them, because like you can't do that episode without having like crowds of kids nearby
Yeah.
kind of thing. So that the camp episode is more of a like, I think it's a funny idea for an episode, but that's sort of like a pie in the sky sort of thing. Whereas like the first episode is a lot more like, when I think about literally how I could get it made, it's a lot more straightforward of like the pool location, maybe some exteriors, maybe the fucking local sex shop in town lets me like film either out front or like inside or something like that. Like that's, in terms of literally actually getting it made, the first episode is like simple enough sort of thing.
Yeah.
So the camp episode is definitely more like a fun thought, but not necessarily like the practical one. But anyways.
I like the idea of while they're investigating, they kind of go off topic a little bit. Maybe they talk about some like workplace drama of maybe there's a supervisor who's like dating someone who's like a little younger or something. They go off the rails a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Office drama kind of thing.
Gossip.
But yeah.
Is there anything that springs to mind? Because I guess I have two leading questions for you. We'll
Yeah.
get to characters in a second, because that's definitely something I'd like to discuss, I guess. But is there anything that like jumps out to you guys plot wise, or like other than these two episodes, like something that sticks out of like what another episode could be,
Performance
let's
reviews.
say, performance reviews is a good one.
reviews.
Like of staff, like them getting
Yeah,
performance reviews.
like some
That's
head
a
up
good
guy
one.
coming in. I know that's kind of like, I don't know, maybe like overdone. I think a lot of like, I know The Office has done that, and a lot of people do like that. But I think it's just a good vehicle for like funny moments. I think another thing could be.
Could you do like a staff training episode?
Yeah,
Interesting.
you can do that. First aid training, was that the same thing?
Yeah,
Staff training.
yeah, it could be a different thing though.
Um,
Oh, first aid training could be a funny one. Like nobody knows what the hell, or maybe the instructor's so eccentric and it's.
you could do there's definitely should be like someone drowned episode.
Yeah.
Interesting. Like somebody
Somehow.
somebody died.
Or I don't know necessarily about going that dark of someone dying, but definitely like someone like almost dying or maybe dying. I don't know. I think you could make a funny scenario out of someone like being negligent, basically.
Well, in my head, as soon as you said it, because I definitely had a similar thought at one point. Again, like very dark, very It's Always Sunny. But the
It's like
idea
a kid
of like
floating on top of the pool.
the idea of like like if somebody drowned, and then the episode was like if the episode was then like a one-on-one interrogation with each of the 4 characters, and it was like their retelling
of the story
of
It's
what
very
happened.
different. Yeah.
That's all like super different, but all like
you know
trying to like make it seem like the blame's not on them, or if it's like a
Yeah.
rescue that went well, where it's like somebody like was rescued and saved, and it's like each one of them trying to like make themselves out to be the hero or whatever.
So I was watching it. I think this would be really funny. It would be like, imagine like they're like, they're telling their story, right? And then it cuts to like the rendition of that story.
Yes.
Like let's say in like I don't know, in black and white or whatever. Or it doesn't have to be, but you know what I'm saying? Like cuts back to that their version of the story. And like someone is like, for example, let's say Patrick's the character who let the person drown, and I'm telling my rendition of the story, and I could have done something to help, and I feel bad about that, so I'm trying to push harder on the blame for Patrick. So I'm like, I just kind of talk about how Patrick was just like, literally just like watching YouTube videos and like whatever, and so it cuts to a video of like Patrick in the little room where he should have been outside like lifeguarding, and he's like watching a video, like laughing his ass off at a video while the kid's drowning or something. I don't know, like that sort of thing.
Matt, could you do an episode where these are pool lifeguards, right? Could you do an episode where they have a beach day and are kind of getting shown up by like the beach lifeguards, maybe?
Now you're thinking.
Where
Beach
maybe
versus
a situation happens and like they're trying to like help, but they're like really not prepared for the situation, or they're like worse
They're
than
trying
the
to
beach
pretend like
lifeguards.
yeah,
Or if there's like like there's almost like a competitiveness between the beach lifeguards and
sure.
the pool lifeguards kind of thing.
Now you're thinking. This could even almost be like, you could even do it at like an outdoor pool too.
Yeah.
Like the outdoor staff versus
Agree.
like the other staff.
Oh, true.
But or even like amongst pools, if there was like a rivalry between pools even. But I like the idea of like them going to like a beach just for like fun and seeing like the lifeguards there or whatever, and it's like maybe something goes wrong where like somebody is drowning or whatever, and they're like, should we help? Like, I mean, we're not working, but we are lifeguards. And it's like then the fucking beach guards get in and they're like just fucking Baywatch, like gorgeous people, and they get in and like solve it in 2 problems or in 2 seconds, and it's like everybody's like cheering and clapping and happy and whatever.
And they're like
You know,
jealous.
it'll be funny.
I'm like, what
like,
the fuck?
Like someone who's there's like Adonis of a person, like from the beach lifeguards are solve it in a second, and then like I feel like it'll be funny to like you see that image, right, of that person like doing incredibly, and then like it cuts straight from that to like one of the people from the pool, like the indoor pool, and they're just standing there like with really bad posture, just like watching the whole thing happening. Yeah, like their horrible posture just like look like shit, and they're watching this like fucking like 6'3" like chiseled like perfect posture guy just like pick up a kid out of the water.
Interesting. Yeah, I like that beach idea.
I think there should be an episode of like inner competition like between the 4 characters somehow. I don't know what that would look like.
Some sort of internal.
Yeah. Because you know a lot of episodes like you'll see in most sitcoms there'll be like some sort of battle or competition between the characters, not just like not just intergroup type stuff, but like within the group.
Can you do an episode? Could you do an episode where it's just the whole episode is in the office, and I'm kind of thinking of like the airport episode
The
of
boring
Smiling
one, the
Friends,
boring
the
episode.
boring episode, and
Sure.
like there's rotations and there's like different groupings of characters
Yeah.
where it's like maybe it's like Jim and Ali are off first,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's like Ali and Ben, and then Ben and Kim. You know what I'm saying? And it's just different conversations the whole episode.
We could do like a broken telephone.
I was
type
gonna
thing,
say you need like a through
What do you
line,
mean?
like a
Where there's,
broken
like-
telephone.
where there's like your two people are on the same shift or whatever,
Yeah.
and then they're like on the same time, and they're just a rumor starts, and then
Okay.
they swap, and then the rumor kind of continues, but in a weird way,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden it's like, because you can't have a completely boring episode like
Mhm.
the Smiling Friends one. It's like nothing is happening, but at the same time it's like very real situations.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's a lot of people who could probably like laugh at and relate to like workplace broken telephone.
True. Yeah.
That has.
Is there like a boss character in this one?
Yeah, this should be.
In my head, similar to Smiling Friends, I like the idea of there being a boss who's maybe not like in every episode or something like that. But in my head, that's definitely a character too, like maybe more of a secondary character that I'd have to figure out of like, who is this boss character? Like, are they totally like normal and even keeled to sort of like balance out like the fucking assholes that are the sort of main cast, or is like the boss an asshole too, or are they just like totally off the fucking rails, like, you know, even more extreme than the carriers, like they show up fucking late to work and drinking and like shit like that, like and even the other characters as like shitty employees and bad people as they are, look at the boss like, how the fuck does this person like still have a job kind of thing. So the boss character is definitely something in there. Well, I'll toss out one last like just episode idea I had, and then I guess we can kind of move into more characters. I like the idea of eventually like shaking something up at their workplace, maybe as like more of an episodic thing where it's not like permanent, but if there was like a new employee kind of thing, and if the idea was that there was like a fifth character added to their sort of like quartet that like went horribly wrong, of like, you know, they try adding this person in and it just like doesn't fit, but the fourth or the new person's like trying to become friends with them or like trying to like get in with them, but you know, they don't understand all the inside jokes and whatever the fuck, so they're just getting like left out, whatever. So some sort of like new element to the workplace kind of thing. Or alternatively, if like, you know, they hire a new girl that's like really cute, and like the three guys in this sort of main four are like,
Excuse me.
well, we're gonna like, you know, like, no, I'm gonna ask her out, no, I'm gonna ask her out, no, I'm gonna ask her out thing, and like
And then
all
she's
three
like
of
16.
them, and
I
all
think
three of them trying to like,
I think that with this pool shit, there should be a lot of age, like elements of age. Like for example, like you're talking about people not understanding different references and shit. So like people who are working there who are like 27 or whatever, and then people who are like 18, like talking about shit, and then the 27-year-old's like super confused and doesn't get what they're saying. And maybe they agree with something that's like totally fucked up. Like the 18-year-old is like trying to like ask them like a would you rather type question or like posing a hypothetical to them, but they're using like newer slang. And then the older person doesn't quite understand, but just to like seem cool, he agrees. And then the 18-year-old goes to tell everybody that like they thought that this was okay.
Yeah.
This horrible thing.
Yeah, I like the idea of there being a lifeguard who is like way older,
Sure.
and surrounded maybe by younger people. That's could be fun.
Yeah, I just think that specific scenario would be pretty funny. Of like, oh, like, you know, Steven said that he thinks that this is acceptable or whatever, you know, but he just didn't understand the slang and he just thought he was trying to be cool, you know.
Yeah.
characters, and we're going a little long here, so we'll wrap this up shortly. But in my head, so it's like, yes, you've got your central quartet. For sure, a secondary character is their boss.
You know, I think we should be weary of with this is like not. I was thinking of like, oh, the dumbass or whatever, but I feel like every show, like a lot of shows have the same. I don't know, it works and stuff, but like for example, like I was thinking about this with the tire show. Like Shane Gillis's character is like a dumbass, but he's also like likable and funny, and like he's like this dude bro, but he's also like pretty good at convincing people of shit. Like he's actually pretty good at selling stuff. So it's almost like this like. I think the characters that are the best are the ones that are like complex, and they may seem one way, but there's like more layers to them.
Yeah.
So I think it would definitely be a mistake to be like, oh, this guy's just a total idiot and there's nothing redeeming about him type thing, you know? So I think it should be like, oh, he's this, but X, Y, and Z type thing. So like, for example, like there's always like the preppy character who's very like straight laced and doesn't want to do anything wrong, but it's like, but there has to be something else to it. Like they're really selfish, or they're really like, they don't give a fuck about other people's problems or whatever, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, just I was like trying to think about it of like, obviously you've got the archetypes and whatever, and it's like, and I feel like you need somebody who's more
Static.
You need somebody who's more of like the straight man, who is more like the reasonable one. Sure. So in my head, I'm like, well, is that like the girl character, or is that one of the three guys who's more the like?
You know, I think that typically the girl character is the straight one, but I think it would be funny to have the girl be like the fucking like fool around type character.
Sure, yeah, who is a little bit more like
making like dick jokes and being totally inappropriate.
Yeah,
I think that would be interesting.
Like
I don't think I don't think you typically see that. You typically see like the fucking like the backwards hat bro being stupid.
Oh. What?
So yes, I like this idea of like the girl being one of the
lazy, stupid, like
rambunctious kind of characters. One of the guys, like I said, I think you need somebody who's like still down with the shenanigans, but is like the straight one, or even like the straight one can kind of almost like rotate. Because I feel like on the It's Always Sunny guys, like the podcast they do, which they've been kind of on hiatus from it for a while. But like I know they've talked in episodes about like some episodes like Max, the straight man, like the guy playing it straight, who's like the sort of more voice of reason. Usually it's kind of like Dennis, who's more like, what the fuck? What the fuck you guys kind of doing? Like, you know, you guys are all like savages or whatever kind of thing. Like I'm the sort of like elevated high horse kind of one. Very rarely it's like, you know, Charlie, because Charlie is more the sort of like fucking dumbass, oddball, like dumbass kind of guy.
But what I like about, for example, like D, is that she also is very reasonable a lot, but then she
has moments where she's like as unhinged, evil as the rest of them.
Yeah.
So it all kind of fluctuates and works together.
I think that there should be a character that everybody hates.
Like one that they all sort of collectively
everybody,
dunk on.
All of them fucking hate him, and then they'll, like, as soon as he's gone, they'll just be like shitting all over him.
But they're still like friends, I guess.
Sure.
Like they're in the
yes.
Sure, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So more of a straight played,
like someone who's always like he's always correcting people. You know what I'm saying? Like he's like maybe like the actually type character. You
know? And then that's part of the quartet, and that is friends with everyone.
You know, it's like in Parks and Recreation, it's like Gurgich.
Yeah,
like everybody, he's a teddy bear. Everybody loves him, but at the same time, like, everybody loves shitting on him. It's just fun.
The bigger gentleman, right?
Yeah, but I think that what's different about him is that he's like
a genuinely nice, likable person.
He's a sweetheart, but I think in this case there should be like someone who's actually kind of just legit.
Yeah, in Parks and Rec, it's like everybody around Jerry is an asshole, and Jerry's like a nice person, and they shit on him.
Yeah.
But the idea of this person being like a dickhead, and shit on by everybody else.
Yeah.
Okay, so these are very loose things, but I like the idea of sort of like, you know, a more straight-laced character, the sort of like equally crazy have like girl, the one guy that's like kind of everybody shits on.
Do we want to have like a sleazebag guy? Like a perv guy?
This is also my other thought of like, do you take a sort of
Joey,
your Barney Stinson, your Dennis,
who's always hitting on the moms
type character? Pool. Sure, somebody who is more of like the ladies man, so to speak, trying not necessarily a successful ladies man, but like trying to hit on people. I think that's kind of like, that's definitely like an archetype and a sitcom stereotypical character, but I think it works really well
in this situation.
And in this, because there's just ideas too that I've had in my head, like thinking about applying a character like that to a situation like dealing with the public and being at like a pool public space like that. There's enough funny things to draw there that I think just work.
You know what I think would be an interesting character? Do you guys have like secretaries or like someone who's at the front desk type thing?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I think it would be funny to have someone like that who's like insanely anxious all the time. Like as soon as someone comes up to like even just ask an honest question, they're like they're scared of like they're kind of like they're nervous about everything.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would be funny to have someone who's always panicky.
Yeah, that could be another secondary character, right, Matt? Of like a
Yeah, it
boss,
wouldn't be a
maybe a
primary.
secondary character, and then a secretary, maybe another
Like
secondary
super,
character.
Or you could go opposite, right? Just like super confident and like just fucking hates people.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would be funny to have like an anxious, like not sure of themselves at all.
Just adding just secondary characters like the boss, fucking Star Wars, the boss, front desk attendant or whatever. And I think too, eventually the idea of this would be fun to have like reoccurring characters who come to the pool, like patrons and whatever, or customers
There
and
should
shit.
be someone who's always like a drunk guy. Like there's always a drunk guy at
Yes,
the pool.
in a very like, Cheers thing of like there's like reoccurring people coming to the bar, or like that kind of thing of like, all the fucking stoner guys back at the pool, or the my dad character of like the fucking weird guy, yanking it in the bathroom,
Or like
like the weird guy's back kind
Or
of
some
thing.
guy who's like, because I think that weird like your dad's character type guy is like likable in a way.
Sure.
Like, he's gross, but he's likable.
Sure.
But what I'm thinking about is another character, like a different character who's like has that guy killed people? Like I feel like that guy's like killed many people.
Sure, somebody who like everybody's kind of scared of
Yeah,
because
like-
he's just very like
like
he's like the
monotone.
guy, that Instagram video where they like talk to that guy on the street where it's like, what do you do? And he's like, I work at a slaughterhouse.
Yeah, that
and he
guy.
seems like way too fucking
Yeah.
happy to be talking about
Yeah.
like that guy
Watching the life
personified as
drain
like
out of-
watching the life drain out of their
Yeah.
eyes.
Oh,
And it's
God.
like, oh my
Yeah.
God, guy. That
Yeah.
for sure is like a reoccurring character
Yeah.
of like everybody's like fucking anxious when that guy comes
Yeah.
around.
Yeah.
Or it's like they ask him like, oh, what do you do for like, and nobody knows what he fucking does for a living.
I think it would be funny to have a specific scene where one of the characters is doing something, and like he's kind of like he snuck up on them, or he's standing right behind him. It's like Jesus, Christ.
Yeah.
like just like always like popping up.
And just, I
randomly.
like the idea of this. Nobody knows anything about him.
No,
Like
yeah.
they don't know where he lives. They don't know what he does for a
and
living.
he signed up in the pool like as John Doe. Or
Yeah,
something.
like John Doe as a name is actually great. Like his name is John Doe, and they're like, are we even
He
sure that's this
clearly
guy's?
made up.
Are we even sure that's this guy's name? That I'm gonna write down specifically.
Or like maybe like two first names because he just wanted to seem as generic as possible.
John Mark.
Like John Dan or something.
John Dan.
Dan Steve.
Mark Ben.
Yeah.
You know the episode where we said like all four characters are like in a competition? Could the competition be saving people?
Sure.
And then like the pinnacle of that episode is they're getting so carried away that they're just getting in, pulling people out who are just like
They
having a
didn't need to be
perfectly
saved.
good time. They didn't
Yeah.
need to be saved. Just like rack up their numbers
Yeah,
kind of
I
thing.
almost think in terms of like the pitting everybody against it, if there was a thing where it's like if all four of them were up for like a promotion of sorts, like, hey, you're all guards, but we're gonna like
Promote
make one of you a supervisor, let's say, and then that spawns the four of them to be like, at the end of the week we're gonna name a supervisor. So the four of them then like spend the episode trying to like make themselves look good and doing all these
I
various
think it'll be-
things. And it is one of them is them just like, oh, this person needed saving, and
Yeah.
jumping in and pulling somebody out and being like, I'm perfectly fucking fine.
Or bringing like a Make-A-Wish kid in. And,
Sure.
like personally bringing a kid with cancer or some.
Or I
something
like,
crazy
one of them's
that.
like trying to like clean up the place like really well, but then the floor is like slippery as shit and people are
Yeah.
just like wiping out on the fucking like floor.
Yeah. What if they did an episode where like one of maybe like as to win the new supervisor role, like someone like has the initiative of like, you know what, like let's give homeless people an opportunity to like just hang out and do their thing at the pool, but then it like completely backfires and it's just like a horrible experience
Oh,
for
wow.
everybody.
Oh my god.
I mean, I don't know if that's too crazy,
Like
but
the homeless hour.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like just like all
and then it's
The
just
water's like brown
like,
afterwards.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
could
I don't know, that's too bad.
could the girl maybe have like a boyfriend or like a brother or like some
Oh,
male
yeah.
character in their life that the other guys don't know about?
Mm.
And I'm having like this thought of maybe they see her with this person, they don't know who it is, and maybe they're getting handsy with her, and like it gets to a point where like one of the male character goes and like tackles him or like starts fighting with him, and maybe that's like the introduction of like. Nah, I actually forget about it.
I do like the idea of maybe if she has a brother.
Yeah.
Well, it could also be like there's also equal opportunity for hilarity if it's like, oh, I have like a sister and the sister's like way hotter or something like that,
Or
and everybody's like, what? Or like I like the idea if it's like a brother too, but it's like if she is one of these like shitbag characters, like they all are, and their brother's like a stand-up, like totally good person, that they're all sort of like a little thrown off by, like, how the fuck are you guys from the same people?
I think it would be funny to if, like, I think you should leave. You know that episode where Tim Heidecker plays like this like super pretentious like ponytail 30-something-year-old boyfriend? Like there's this whole episode where he's in there and he's like they're playing charades or something, and like all his movies that he's picking are like the most obscure shit that no one's ever heard of. He's like, "What, you've never heard of that shit?" So I think it'd be funny for like, I don't know if it's this girl or a side character to come in who's just like nobody likes him and he's just always like pretending like he's smarter than he is type thing.
Well, even if it's like the main girl character here on the show, if she's like, oh, like, you know, I got a fucking date or whatever. I met somebody on Tinder or whatever the fuck. They're like, oh, like, what do you know about him or whatever? And she's like, oh, like, he's really into like movies.
He
and
grows his own
art
weed or whatever.
And like grows and like he's into movies and art and all this stuff. Like, you know, he's very highfalutin and whatever. And then like they meet him and it is like that kind of shit of just like, you know, all right, we're gonna go watch fucking Transformers or whatever. And he's like, oh. Yeah. That's the kind of shit you're gonna watch, and it just like drives the rest of them nuts. Where it's like you gotta fucking get rid of this guy.
I don't think there's enough for an episode with this idea. But could you have like an after hours episode where the pool's closed and they're kind of just like dicking around at work? You know what I'm saying?
I think so. Eventually, again, now I don't want to get ahead of myself here because I'm talking about this like this is some fucking like
it's greenlit.
Like it got picked up.
So we're talking about like Halloween episode, Christmas
but like
episode,
in my head, eventually there are going to be episodes that are like entirely separate. Very It's Always Sunny from, you know, the bar, like from the pool, where it's like, here's an entire episode where they're, you know, at a bar or at a fucking amusement park or whatever, or like a restaurant they go to and it all goes horribly wrong. Like eventually the idea is that like it doesn't have to be tied every episode to the pool, but that is the sort of like the central crux of it all, of like, hey, it's about these like lifeguards who work together and like are arguing with each other and bicker with each other, but they are friends, but like, you know, they have their issues and whatever. And, you know, hilarity ensues and there's always something going on at the fucking where they work and whatever, and dealing with people.
I think it'd be funny for the character that nobody likes, but is still kind of friends with everybody, to like be way too overconfident and maybe be in a scenario where he just embarrasses himself, like trying to prove something. Like whether that's like he's at some sort of like Olympic trial or some like these high level swimmers. And he's like fucking like I'm gonna show them that I can do whatever like I can do what they're doing type shit.
True.
Yeah, I don't know.
Or the one of them that like can't swim at all but is a lifeguard somehow.
Yeah, they like faked it till they made it kind of thing, and they wound up there. But
whenever there's like any sort of swimming scene, that character is always like,
or like if they're
on like thin ice kind of thing.
Trying to save somebody, they're holding onto the wall and like
trying
to grab somebody.
But well, yeah, there we go. Well, we're running a little long here. I apologize. So we'll leave it at that. But thank you. I hope this was amusing for you. Sorry about that. I'm just slamming the shit out of the mic on there. I hope it was amusing for you fellas. I had a good time. 'Cause yeah, it's fun to write, and I like writing a lot. And I like writing on my own, coming up with these ideas and things. But it's been a while since I've like bounced ideas off of people and just sort of spitball things. That's what I used to love about, especially the first couple of years of Sheridan when we were more in person. Like there would be times where like, you know, Eric and I would have like somebody else we have to get on the podcast would have like, you know, an hour between classes, or just we'd be done classes for the day, but would just sit around like at the Learning Commons for like 2 hours, just like, oh, I had an idea for this like story thing, and just shooting the shit about it kind of back and forth.
I just imagine like a character going down a water slide and there's just a streak of shit down the whole slide. Like maybe they like
some little shit
like,
kid.
Maybe, yeah, just shit himself, or even an adult, like the drunk guy who just like shit himself.
That could be a whole thing too, if there was like a bunch of people in the pool and somebody shits.
Yeah.
And then they're like trying to like figure out, I guess it's like a similar like investigation type episode, but like trying to figure out which one of them did it kind of thing. Or if it was like an old lady like workout class, and somebody shit.
Yeah, water
And
aerobics.
then like
Oh.
they were like trying to figure out like which one of these fucking old ladies crap themselves.
Yeah.
Or maybe it'll be an episode where an old lady tries to like seduce one of the younger
Oh,
lifeguards.
wow.
That's good too.
Or vice versa, of like one of the younger lifeguards like seeing a hot mom type.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyways, this was fun for me, so I hope you guys enjoyed it. And I hope you, the audience out there, enjoyed it. What did you think? Like, leave a comment, subscribe, check out the socials. Patrick's doing the Lord's work out there. We're everywhere. And thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Wildly Adequate. I don't think I'm going to be on the next episode. Actually, we still have to plan that out because I'm away, Patrick's away. So we're going to have to figure that out if you and Malcolm are going to do something or if we're going to just maybe take a week and then we'll have to record like a pickup or a bonus. I don't know. We'll fucking figure it out. Gentlemen, is there anything else you'd like to get off your chests before we get out of here?
I don't think so. Patrick? Okay.
I'm content. Would one of you like to take us out? I know I kind of just did the closing spiel, but...
I did it last week. You want to go this week?
Do I say thank you again? Or?
Sure, say whatever you want. I know I apologize. I kind of did some of the spiel, but do whatever your heart tells you.
Thank you guys for tuning in. Like, comment,
Maybe I can
share.
do it, actually.
You know what you do? No, but seriously, thank you guys
Yeah,
for
do it.
tuning in. See you guys for the next one.
See ya.
Goodbye.